Oh no. Did it just do
What?
another live broadcast? What did it do? We're live. I think we're live. Did I start early? Let me see.
I hope not.
I hope not.
People got
People
people
got
got a little too much inside knowledge about the goings ons.
we're live now.
All right.
So we are
Happy
live.
holidays.
Happy
Hello.
solstice.
Yes. Hello.
Hold on, let me turn my radio down here.
Happy Hyundai month. Is that what it is? Is
Okay.
it a Hondathon?
It's Hondathon. Toyotathon.
Toyotathon. There we go.
Happy Toyotathon to you, Steve.
Yeah, and to you and yours, Mr. Ditch.
All right, let's see. All right, we got the chat going. We're ready.
All right.
uh, Oldies Radio says Happy Hondathon to us. Happy Honda Days.
Thank you.
Let me just see if I can get that chat going here. Do. There we are. I don't know how to. Let me see if I can do that and that. Nope. I've yet to figure out how to do this. How to put that on top of that. So
Well, hey, it's a good thing we're not live.
yeah, it's a good thing we're not live. That nobody can see us do any of this. So I don't know how I did it last time, but it is what it is. So that's fine. We'll just look at the phone. So
Let's just jam, man.
yeah, Oldies
I
Radio.
just feel
Happy Honda Days. Um, we'll give it another minute since it's still not quite 8:30 yet. So um, yeah. So just to talk a little bit about the setup of the show. Um, it is going to be an all music show tonight. That's all we're going to talk about. So
You mean we're not going to do comic books like we did last week? That was such a hit.
I think we can still talk about pop culture. I think somewhere in there, but yeah,
Well,
it's mostly just going to be that. So um, yeah, we'll give everybody a minute or two. What are you drinking tonight, Steve?
water,
Water.
water. I got both cups filled up because I'm going to do some talking.
You're going to do some
So
talking.
I am indeed. So, what are you drinking? Is that an adult beverage, sir?
I'm drinking honey brown Genesee specialty from Rochester, New York.
Ooh, look at you, fancy schmancy.
That's right. If John was on right now, he would know all about this. Now, when I was a kid, this used to be called J.W. Dundee's Honey Brown Lager, and then they just changed it to
J.W. Hyundai. That sounds like something
J.W.
like.
Dundee's. Yeah, it was like they had to have that special name with it. But
Yeah, that doesn't sound like that's from New York. That sounds more like Arkansas.
I think that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to
Yeah.
make it be,
Mountain Dew.
Mountain
Like this old Mountain Dew, like the old logo with the guy with
But
this getting it.
do they have this in the South, or is this no? Have you ever seen it? Never. Okay.
No, I don't know what that is.
So
I
it's
thought that
like
was root beer.
it's like a beer with a little bit of a little taste of honey to it. So
A taste of honey.
um, it's smooth. It's a smooth beer. I love it. It's probably, without going off the rails already, it's probably the first beer that I was able to drink, maybe like six.
Welcome to Beer Talk with Mark and
Welcome
Steve.
I could drink a six pack of that, no problem. That was where this started. So,
Yeah.
and funny enough, so if you go back in the Glass Orchid Wayback Machine, there is the Glass Orchid Christmas special. Have you ever watched this one, or maybe you watched
I
it?
have not. No,
Okay,
I have been making my way through your videos, but I have not come upon that one yet.
so the Glass Orchid Christmas special was Sam and I. So was working at this job, and the way that they gave your vacation time, and I've had different jobs, Steve, so I'm gonna ask you sort of how yours have been, but
Okay.
they gave you all of your vacation time on January 1, right? So it was like pretty much everybody just would blow through their vacation time, and then it would come to September and nobody would have any time left. And of course, that was, you could have call offs, and then, you had your call offs would fall off in 90 days. So if you basically called off after September 1st, um, that call off would take 90 days to fall off. So you would actually carry it into the new year. So
Okay.
it was 90 days from whenever that happened, you would get your vacation time. So say for instance, if you called off in October 1st, then really you didn't get vacation time until like February 1st. But normally you'd get it January 1st, you got all your vacation time. So everybody would blow through it, myself included. And so one year I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to schedule vacation at the very end of December. I'm going to take that week of like Christmas off, right? And that's going to be it. I'm going to get that. That's going to be the week I'm going to have off. I'm not going to take a summer vacation. I'm going to take that in Christmas. Um, and somehow Sam was able to get that time off too. So we basically went to Buffalo, New York, and
Oh, cool.
we did some record shopping. We went to some art museums. We went to Niagara Falls. Um,
Okay.
and at the time, that was before you needed your like now you need your passport to get into Niagara
Oh
Falls.
yeah.
Like
Oh
before
yeah.
you could just go in. And I'd rented a car, and when I filled out like the insurance on the car, they were asking, okay, where are you going to be? Well, I'm going to be in Pennsylvania. I'm going to be in New York. Okay. And they were like, you cannot take this car out of the United States, right? That's what they say when you rent a car. You know how you basically sign off on that,
And
right?
you were like, okay.
Well, no, no. So we parked the car in New York, and we walked across the Peace Bridge into Canada. And I don't know if you've ever been to Niagara Falls. Have you ever been there before?
I have not, but funny you should say that. I was talking to my dad today. He and I are planning a trip, hopefully in 2022 to Cooperstown,
Okay.
and he wants to go to Niagara Falls, and because he's been there, and we want to go on in a Canada a little bit too. So we maybe 3-4 hours ago we were just having that conversation. So
So the interesting thing about that is Cooperstown is that's like eastern upstate New York. So not
yeah.
not that you can't do it, but you basically have
No,
to
no, we're
drive.
no,
You have to drive
we're
across
talking
the
about yeah, oh
yeah.
yeah,
You have to
we're
drive across
talking
the state
about
to do it. Yeah.
yeah, we're talking we're playing we've been talking about doing this for years, and I think hopefully next year we'll be able to do it.
Cool.
So, but yeah, so go on, I
So
guess.
so yeah, so we walked into Canada, and basically walked around. We went to the falls, and again, if you're there sort of at this time of the year, it's pretty dead, right? Like it's
Yeah.
not like if you go in there in summertime, it's nuts. And we did that quite a bit when I was a kid because you only had to be 19 to drink there. So we were driving into Canada, and all that good stuff. Um, so we walked into Canada, and we were hanging out. We went to the casino, and there's this place that has pizza. It's called Boston Pizza. It's a chain. Um, Very first place I ever had Jägermeister, when I was 19 years old. Um, and they have decent pizzas. It's all sort of like all these different
But you didn't
gourmet.
go there for the pizza. It could have been Red
Well,
Bear, and you were like, "Hey, this is good. Just
well,
keep the
they
Jaeger
were all
coming."
sort of gourmet. They all sort of like gourmet kind of things or whatever. So it was like, yeah, we'll get a pizza, whatever. And we go in, and it was just like there was nobody there. Like there were people there like getting food, but there wasn't anybody else that was sort of like there wasn't like any workers. So we sat there for about like a half an hour, and I'm like, screw this, we're leaving. So we left, and we walked up Victoria as like the main drag in Niagara Falls, and there's a place called the Guru, and it was like the best. I don't know if you like Indian food, but it was like the best Indian
Oh
food
yeah,
that I've ever had in my entire life. So we did that, and then we came back on Christmas Eve, and we watched Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, and
that's good stuff.
that became a Christmas tradition that we watch it every night on every Christmas Eve. So
I wish you would have gotten pizza there because you completely ruined a joke I had made up in my head. I'll wait till you finish drinking that
okay,
on the off
right,
chance
right,
that it's
right.
actually funny. I was going to say, did you order bacon and they bring you ham?
The Canadian bacon, yeah, no, it
It
was
was dumb. It's probably best that you did.
probably a
We'll
dumb,
edit
probably
this
a
in
dumb.
post.
Yeah, we'll do this right live without a net. Yeah, so Canada is a good time. So then when we were walking back into the United States, They had these little turnstiles that you had to go through, and of course, since we were walking, customs was like, "Hey, do you have anything to declare?" And we're just like, "Yeah, we just went for a walk." "Oh, you just went for a walk in Canada? Okay, yeah, yeah."
With drugs?
Yeah. so they had these turnstiles, and we go to like
Was this
walk.
the Royal Canadian Mounties?
No,
That
this would have been the United States going back
oh,
into the
so it's
United
just
States.
some dude. Okay, all
No,
right.
yeah, it was
That's
just whatever the United States Border Patrol guys were. So we go back in, and I go try to go through this turnstile, and I just it like stops, and there was like this guy that was at this desk, and he was like, "Yeah, it's 50 cents to do that," and I'm like, I was like, "What?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't have any change. Like, so how am I going to
well.
get back?"
Enjoy Canada, then, sir. Do
Right.
you like Rush?
So then he like points over onto the wall, and it's like they have like that laundromat coin machine,
Oh
like
my
that you can
god!
go over and
What
put
a
your dollar and
racket!
get your change, and like, yeah, it was pretty funny. So yeah, that was the Canada trip. So we went to Buffalo, New York, and we were up in Dr. Deadwax territory. So
All right,
yeah, he was. We didn't see him, but we were there, and
another mark.
yeah, like I guess he would record shop quite a bit in Buffalo, New York. So, but then we went to the Anchor Bar, and the Anchor
Yeah,
Bar was where
the
uh,
Buffalo Wings.
Buffalo Wings were,
I
and
know a thing or two about Buffalo Wings.
and to bring this full circle, where I was going with this giant tirade that I've been talking about for the last 5 minutes was we got a pitcher of Honey Brown. So we had a pizza, wings, and a giant thing of Honey Brown, and
Sounds like a wonderful way to spend an afternoon.
it was great. It was fantastic. So, Steve, what have you been listening to?
I have been listening to. We want to jump right in.
Let's do it, man.
All right.
Unless you have anything else you want to any Christmassy.
I can't. We can chew the fat on Christmas. I mean, give me what are some Christmas movies that you enjoy?
The number one is Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. We watched the Rankin and Bass Little Drummer Boy last night, and I found out that there's two versions of that. And so I wasn't like crazy. Like I kept like thinking like, how come this part isn't in the? And that's happened a couple of years in a row. And then I just realized I'm like, I'm gonna look this up. I'm gonna figure this out on YouTube. And there was a I think it came out in like 1976. There was like a sequel to it where they redid it, and the story wasn't as harsh. Like the first one's like pretty harsh, but of course we do.
Mhm.
The Emmett Otter Jug Band is a classic around
Oh
our
yeah.
house. We have to watch that. Um, and that's about it. Frosty. I was watching Frosty with Althea the other day. And have you watched Frosty recently? Have you watched that one?
You want me to be 100% honest? I have never seen Frosty in my life.
So there's a magician, as you know from the song.
Oh
And
no, I know he's yeah. It's
the thing is, he puts Frosty goes to warm up, and they go into this greenhouse that's with poinsettias in it for the holiday. And this magician like locks him in, and he melts, right? And then like
so he's a murderer. He's not a
he's a
magician.
murderer, right? He's a murderer.
The word
And
you're looking for is murderer.
yeah, and then but Santa Claus is there, and he watches it the whole entire time, so he's an accessory to the murder. And then he's like, "Yeah, it's magic Christmas snow," and he turns the puddle back into Frosty the Snowman. So, yeah, but that's it. Oldies Radio says the magic Christmas tree is crazy, and also from the same year as Santa Conquers the Martians, but it's more ineptly made. I mean, I'll have to look that one up. Are you familiar with this?
No. Oh,
No.
Santa Claus Conquers the Martians?
No, the magic Christmas tree.
I'm still processing the story you told me about this guy locking Frosty and then Santa Claus being like, "Nah, it's cool." It's
He doesn't
I
stop
mean,
him.
was he afraid that it's like, no, that guy's been on my territory enough. I want all the spotlight. I'm not splitting it with this guy with his corn cob pipe.
Yeah,
I'm done with this.
But
so.
it's the little girl is there, and she's sobbing over
Does she watch it
puddle.
too and just do nothing?
She watches it happen. She's in.
So there's two people watching a murder happen, and they both just don't.
The girl is in the greenhouse with
so
with
she's
Frosty.
not. She's
Yeah, she sees it happen. Like basically, if this was a horror movie,
does she not unlock the door? Does she not unlock the door? Like once the guy leaves, does she not go, "Hey, I got you," and unlock the door, and they both walk out? And
it's funny you
enact
mention that
their
because he does lock it from the outside, but yet she's inside. You think she'd be able to get out?
I mean, that's how doors work, don't they?
Right. Yeah. So he melts, and there's sort of just this puddle, right? And there's a puddle, and then there's the eyes of coal, and then the corncob
Is
pipe.
his pipe
Like
sticking?
his pipe is there. It's like next to the puddle, and
Right.
yeah, that's it. So the guy murders Frosty, and then Santa comes and pretty much says like, yeah, it'll be all right, and then he makes Frosty come back, and that's it. So
Is
yeah.
it the same Frosty, or does he like roll some more snow and be like, "Nah, see, he's cool. He's right here."
It's like like The Fly with like Jeff Goldblum, where he's like he comes back as like Frosty with a fly wing because there was a dead fly on the floor, right? Something like that.
Okay.
But yeah,
All right.
no, but that's Frosty the Snowman, right?
Well,
Um,
speaking of murdering Christmas movies, Die Hard is the good one. Yes, success.
oh, that one hurt.
You know,
That one
you
hurt.
know, Die Hard is one that I watch every year. You know, the first one. I'm not too big a fan of the sequels to Die Hard, but the first one's really good. It's a Wonderful Life, of course. I mean
Okay.
that's one of the best movies of all time.
Mhm.
Gremlins is a Christmas movie.
Okay. It is. It
So
is right. Yeah.
um, when I was like in my 20s, I would watch like Silent Night, Deadly Night, the Killer Santa Claus. But
Mhm.
I gotten older. It's kind of like it's a little in bad taste a little bit.
Yeah.
So call me,
Those are all on Comet. I want to say either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or that
yeah.
Sunday after Christmas.
So
Black Christmas. That's another one that's on Comet. I
Black
don't.
Christmas is in funny story. The guy Bob Clark who did Black Christmas also directed A Christmas Story.
Really, I had no idea.
Same dude, about 10 years apart.
Oh
So
wow, wow,
yeah, quite a contrast.
very cool.
And in my household, yeah, Leslie will have A Christmas Story on, and I'll probably watch that at
Right.
least 4 times all the way through. I mean, Christmas Vacation too. I feel like that one's one that kind of gets brought up all the time.
Yeah, yeah. It's
And it's good, but I don't even think it's the best vacation movie. I know I'm probably in the minority with that. I think the first Vacation is better than that, but
yeah.
that's one fella's opinion.
Of course, Ernest Saves Christmas is another one that is a must-have around my house.
What is your favorite Ernest? Scared Stupid?
Scared Stupid. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go. Goes to jail.
Well, no, I mean it's so hard. It's so hard because like
The pen
the
scene.
pen scene is like
I mean, it's the cool thing about Ernest is there's no wrong answer. So unless you say like Ernest joins the army or something like that, then
no, no, those ones that were like the direct to video ones.
Oh
are
gosh,
just,
there's like Ernest Goes to Africa.
yeah.
Ernest.
Well, I think those are all like there's like a 3-pack of like those.
Yeah, and they're probably $3 for that 3-pack.
Right.
They're like
Yeah.
it's basically so. But yeah,
It's a dump in at Walmart. So, Kiss Saves Santa. Thanks, Family
yes,
Guy.
yeah.
That's from Craig. Craig, what is up?
I
Merry
wish
Christmas, Happy Solstice, all that good stuff.
my Grand Slam was supposed to come with hash browns. Good old Ace Frehley.
Okay. And then the
All
last. But one thing about Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, I have to watch the Mystery Science Theater version of it. So we've watched a few where it's like some Christmases we'll watch just the regular version, and then we end up like saying a lot of the lines from the Mystery Science Theater one. So we just thought, what the heck, let's just watch that one instead, because there's some pretty good lines in there.
Have you seen the speaking of Mystery Science Theater? Have you seen the Legend of Boggy Creek 2?
Yes.
From
Yes.
That's one of my favorite. When they're doing the opening scene and they're showing the swamp, and he says it's Jim Stafford's bathwater, dude. I mean, that one is just. And then they meet the hillbilly with the overalls and the little thin headband. He says, "Why'd y'all come inside?" He goes, "Yeah, and grab yourselves a broccoli headband." I mean, that one's just got
I think
so many great one-lines.
I think there's a line in that one too where they're looking at a map and he's like, "Saw the Grateful Dead there, saw the Grateful Dead there, saw the Grateful Dead there." Yeah,
it's so good. It's so great, man. It's just, oh my gosh, that movie is just perfect, just like that.
Shane Rocky's on. Hey Shane, he says, "What's the topic tonight?" We're doing all music tonight, Shane. So
we are here, there, and everywhere. Feel free to ask questions.
Yeah, man.
And let's jump into it. You ready?
Go ahead.
What
have you been listening to, Steve?
All right, so we're gonna start off. with this album, and I want your, before I even get into this, I want your opinion on it.
Okay.
And it's CCR's. Can you see that?
Yeah.
All right.
Pendulum.
Yes. So this is, I guess, their fifth album, sixth album.
Yes.
I
Here,
can look. Yes, one of those two.
let me
See
let
how
me
prepared I am.
let me consult the archives. Let's see.
And then while you go into that, I'll throw some facts and some stats
Yeah,
your
so this
way.
is the sixth album. So Pendulum, this was released in December 9th of
December 9th,
1970.
70. So yeah,
Uh,
December 9th. So pretty. And go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't mean
well,
to
I was just
interrupt
gonna
you.
say it's what's crazy is if you look at Cosmos Factory, which I would say is probably up there as one of the better ones, at least maybe the most accessible ones.
No, I think
Uh,
that's the best record.
um,
Period.
July of '70. So 5 months later,
Well,
here's Pendulum. So
it's well, and the thing about this record is all the recordings were done in November. So they recorded this album in a month. And by CCR standards, 1 month is a considerable amount of time to crank out a record.
right,
And it
right,
is,
right,
because
right.
I mean they just spun them out. That's why there's not a whole lot of outtakes, and there's not
Right.
a whole lot of stuff when they talk about the vault and everything like that. There's just not a lot of that stuff for CCR, just because the songs were just rehearse, record, and then
Hmm.
move on to the next batch and
Well, they were.
get all that done.
I mean, they were together for a while, right? So as the
So with
Gollywogs,
the Gollywogs, yeah,
and what was the other band? The Blue Velvet? No, what was the name of that?
something like that.
So they were, there was, that other band that was more so where it was Tom Fogerty's band,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I mean, they're really only together for like 4 years, right? So they broke up in '72, right? So there's
Yes,
there's after this is Mardi Gras, right? So the last album,
yes.
and then yeah, so really there was just one more album after this. So
So, and this is the only CCR album not to have any cover tunes on it, which
okay.
cover tunes was a big part of well, all their albums basically.
Hmm.
Um, so okay, the this album features, you've got keyboards and saxophones, both played by John Fogerty, but then Stu Cook also played keyboards as well. And every new instrument, so to speak, is completely played by the band themselves
Oh, okay.
on this record. So their attempt at psychedelic, I think, falls considerably flat with Rude Awakening #2.
Well, that's yeah, and that's an instrumental. So it's like
Wow.
like CCR, who you're familiar with their songs and their 2-minute pop songs, and it's like, okay, here's just an instrumental. So that's kind of strange. Um, and that's the last song on the album, right? I
It
think.
is.
Yeah. So it's
It is.
so as my elementary music teacher would say, that's the fly wing, right? So that's when you eat like a delicious sundae, and your very last bite is a bite that has a fly wing on it. Second time we've talked about fly wings this evening, but yeah, like it's not like we know that last position on the record, that very last song on the record is important, and it's not that good, right? So it doesn't really do anything.
No, but the 45 that was released shortly thereafter this. Yeah, are you familiar with this? I want to
Yeah,
quiz your knowledge.
yeah. January of '71. Who will or Hey Tonight, and I'm looking at a book, Steve. And Have You Ever Seen
Okay.
the Rain? So yeah, I'm cheating. I'm sorry.
Okay. No. Well, both of those songs reached #8
Yes.
in 71. So, all right. Are you familiar with 45 revolutions per minute?
I am. Hmm.
Let me read you my notes here. Okay.
Okay.
So, according to the stuff I was able to find, is Fogerty wanted the names of the band to roll off his tongue, or excuse me, roll off the public's tongue, just like John, Paul, George, and Ringo.
Okay.
So this essentially was their attempt at Psych, and his attempt at maybe doing a Revolution #9, but
Okay.
CCR style. Um, just with they have an interviewer on there that's kind of talking to them through it. It's, of course, it's all stage.
Right.
There's some sounds and some background noise going on. The interviewer at one point asks, the band's riding a wave of success. If the bottom falls out, what do you guys plan to do?
Gonna join the
And I
birds. No, I'm
I
just
God darn it, you took my joke, Mark. I have that right here. But yes,
Great
I
minds think
swear
alike, Steve.
I was waiting for one of them to say, I think I'll join
And
the
the
birds.
birds.
So, and he ends up going like, I think I'll join the meat packing industry. And
Yeah.
I started to think about this. I was like, maybe that's like, is that a euphemism for the music industry as a whole, being they'll chew you up, they'll spit
The
you
meat
out, they'll
grinder.
process, you're on a shelf, they'll put you on a meat grinder. But I'm probably just giving it too much credit.
Yeah.
I probably am. I don't think that with this instance that they had more in line with John Paul, George, and Ringo. I think they had more stuff in line with Zappa, Black, Underwood, and Sherwood. I really do. I think there was more. I don't think that this is a genuine attempt at psych for them. I think this is maybe some label pressure that you guys got to do hippie stuff. The kids really like that flower power stuff,
Right.
and I think that I think that that's very much a take on all of it. I really do. I think
So, real quick.
that's more. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No.
How was that released? Was released as a single? Was it like
It was
like a
it was
promo
part
single?
one and part two.
Right.
No, a legitimate single.
Okay. And then they sort of, I know that they tacked that on to like the bonus tracks on that, right? It was on that,
So
and it was
this
also
is
the box set.
So this is the 40th anniversary release. These were released in 2008.
Mhm.
And the bonus tracks on this is the 45 Revolutions Per Minute, part one and two, and then Hate a Night Live in Germany in 71.
Okay.
So, this, I don't think that was necessarily their good, honest attempt at psych. I really think that was kind of, because the record label, they're like, yeah, it's weird, it's zany, I don't know what it is. It's psychedelic, it'll sell.
Right.
I really don't. I think that CCR was a little bit smarter to know that that's not really their bag.
Yeah.
And so they just kind of goofed on it. I completely think they're in on the joke.
Yeah. And if you look at the thing about their singles, I mean, and I think that when we talk about sort of greatest American bands in the American sense of the styling of music and everything like that, like CCR is up there, or
They certainly are.
they're probably number 2 or number 3 in my opinion.
They're further down for me, but
Okay.
but yes, they're certainly in that conversation.
Well, usually I put on Facebook around the 4th of July, when I think about America, I think about CCR and a big American flag flapping in the breeze, right? I mean, to me, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
But it's just it's one of those things, right? I mean, I know I had an experience with it was on the 4th of July, and my brother and I were changing the oil in my car, and we were playing some CCR, and I was like, "This is great, man. This is like it. This is like doesn't get any better than this, right?"
Right.
But I think if you look at like their singles and how they're all almost like double A sides on every single single that they released,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see this, and it's just sort of like, okay, what exactly were they doing? So, I'm gonna read a couple comments here real quick. Craig says, "Let's talk about how Mardi Gras is the best album. Can you sense the sarcasm?" Yes, it was. It was a terrible album. Easily the top 5 American bands for me. And Oldies Radio says, "Fortunate Son and Born in the USA are misunderstood." They are, right. So
Well, I
yeah.
was just gonna say, a lot of people, they don't really listen to the lyrics to those songs. They just kind of take them and run with it,
Yeah.
and it's considerably different when you look at the lyrical content. And,
Right.
but to bring it back to this, is this album a lost gem, Mark? What would you say?
So I think it holds an interesting place in their catalog. I think that if you look at the earlier albums, you have all those sort of 2-minute, kind of hits. They're quick albums, right? So the CCR albums are what, like 30 minutes, if that, 28 to
I was going to say
32
that.
minutes.
Yeah,
They're short albums.
Yeah.
But this one has some really great songs. I think "Pagan Baby" is
Yes.
probably one of their best tracks. I mean, on this album, I would say that's probably one of their better ones. "Born to Move," "Hey Tonight," yeah, I feel those are kind of the throwback kind of 50s kind of rockers that they, you know what I mean? They have that connection to.
Well, and those two songs kind of fit the album. You know,
Hmm.
they're not great. Taken on their own, they're probably nothing, but you know they fit this album's flow very nicely.
Hmm. Um,
But I will say, "It's Just a Thought" is one of my
yeah,
favorite CCR
it's a great
songs.
tune.
I mean that's to me that if we really sat down and would rank these, that may be my favorite CCR song. I think that's a strong song.
Hmm.
Um, I think that's really well. Sailor's Lament, I think, is great too. I
Hmm.
really do. I think that's a good one. I think Pagan Baby starts super strong.
Hmm.
You know, I think the guitar work in that song is really good, but it kind of trails off a little bit. And this is, I don't want to say this is their lost gem.
Hmm.
Because I don't think this album deserves that credit of a gem.
Yeah. Well, and really it's you think about how big those the other maybe the first five albums of theirs are. Yeah, I think we can agree that Mardi Gras is the worst. Um,
Oh well, yeah,
yeah, and it's just you're looking at sort of how huge and how massive the singles and things like that were off of those other albums. I think this one tends to be overshadowed by that, but yeah, at the same time, they're very solid tunes. You
yeah.
know,
That's certainly not to say this is not a. I mean, this album's not worth your time. I mean,
mhm.
it's just compared to their other records, yes, it falls a little flat.
Yeah, and what's interesting too about it is that, so the album comes out in December, and by February, Tom Fogerty left the band. So that's shortly after when that Tom Fogerty record that you were listening to and we talked about a
Yes,
couple weeks ago,
right.
that came out soon after. Um, But yeah, I mean, I think we could probably do a deeper dive on CCR at some point. I'd kind of love to go,
Yeah.
sort of album by album. Um, but you're right. I think it's just that their stuff was their songwriting was tight. John Fogerty's, songwriting was tight. And there just wasn't a lot of extra stuff. So we don't see a lot of bonus tracks from them. And really that box set, that box set that came out years ago, it's like the
Mhm.
wooden box with the sort of, the picture of the band on the front of it. That like has everything. Like it's seriously almost every single thing that, CCR released. And even when they released the 40th anniversary sets, I was super excited for those because they were bonus tracks that I never heard, but most of it was just kind of, live cuts or, I forget. I think Cosmos Factory might have some like Booker T cuts or something like that where they play with
Yes,
Booker T.
yes.
Um,
So I couldn't wait to get those 40th
yeah.
anniversaries when they came out. When I was working at the record store at the time when those came out, as soon as I saw that we got them in, I got them all immediately because those you never saw. You saw the live album occasionally, and you
Yeah.
always saw
You
Chronicles,
always saw
right?
Chronicle. Yeah, exactly. And I mean,
Yeah,
you'd always see that. You'd always see that first one. I think that's, that album.
I, I didn't see any of outside of those two. I never saw any of them inside my local record
Hmm.
stores or anything like that at all. So like those albums, I mean, were those at one point out of print? They're cataloged.
I don't. I mean, that's a good question. Oldies Radio just made me laugh. Said, "Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play today. I can breed centipedes." Is the next line for that one. um, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they always seem to be around, right? I mean, I always saw, I see Willie and the Poor Boys. Um, Pendulum, you wouldn't normally see. That wasn't one that I don't think came up quite a bit.
And we're
Um,
talking about on CD.
on CD, correct? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Not on
yeah.
vinyl. I mean, I think as far as vinyl, Willie and the Poor Boys was the first one I ever got on vinyl, which I was like super excited about that. Because that song, Down on the Corner, that song, like I remember that from like being a little kid. Like I'm talking like very young age. I remember that. Like I feel like I don't even know if that was like a theme song for a TV show or something like that, but just like that, you know, great moments in cowbell on
Mm.
that one. And then up there with Mississippi Queen and Dolly
Don't
Dagger.
Fear the Reaper.
Don't Fear the Reaper. Um, but yeah, I remember hearing that song from when I was like a little kid. Like it was like one of those ones that just seemed to be, I don't know if it was just always on the radio or what the case was, but
Bring a
um,
nickel and tap your feet.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, Pendulum's good. I think it's just maybe like one of the ones that just is not. Um, People just don't talk about it that much because the songwriting on it is a little. It is a little unbalanced, right? It's not hit after hit after hit after hit, but at the same time, it's still a pretty solid album. I think. Yeah,
It's still listenable.
yeah. Um, Oldies Radio says still lives in Walgreen ads. Oh, I'll have to check
Yeah.
that
Oh
out.
yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. No,
Okay, all right.
that
Not
was
familiar with that.
no.
Mm-mm.
No, it's used in a Walgreens commercials.
All right.
So
So what else you got, Steve? What else you been
you
listening
want me
to?
to go again?
Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right. Well, as everybody knows, the late great Michael Nesmith
Hmm.
passed away a
Wait.
couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Oh,
So
and
what?
apologies for not doing a show last week. Life just sort of caught up with both of us, I think. So, and
Yeah.
but we're probably gonna look forward to you next. We'll be in that sort of that limbo period of um, between holidays and sort of like when you don't realize what day it is and you've just been eating Christmas cookies for like 3 or 4 days, and yeah, so that'll be an interesting show. But we'll see you back next Tuesday if you can do it, Steve. If you'll be around, so
Let's
yeah,
be. Yeah. I've been playing on it. So, um, as long as Clapton doesn't come after me for listening to bootlegs.
yeah. Whoops, just pop something up there. All right,
Oh,
go ahead.
it's Eric Clapton buzzing in on us. He's
Yeah,
got
that
it
was one.
rigged.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, so it kind of got me listening to monkey stuff and more so with solo stuff, stuff like Loose Salute is really good.
Hmm.
But this, are you familiar with this record, The Prison?
I am not. I don't really see his albums. I know the red, white, and blue ones. I see those every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
I think I
And
have.
those are all really good. Those are fun.
Yeah, I have the what's it called? The Wichita Train Whistle. Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
I have that one. I think that was his first solo album. Am I right? I feel like it's on Dot Records. Is my am I,
Yeah,
am
I
I
want to say Loose Salute maybe was the first one.
okay? I'm
Not
yeah.
100%.
I'm a little foggy on his stuff, but I have some of his other like some of his later stuff, and it's all right. It's not stuff that I'm reach for that often. So
Well, this album, I'll go ahead and spoil it. This album's incredible.
okay.
I think this is the best thing he did post Monkeys. It was released in '74. It's a soundtrack that's intended to be played as you read a book that's accompanied with it. So it's a novel idea. My copy does have the book with it, and I guess I can go ahead and satisfy your curiosity. It's a thick book. It's a single record. So this is a book, obviously,
Okay.
as you can tell. It's got some pretty rudimentary artwork in it, to say the least. I think that's Mothman, if you're familiar with. No, I'm just kidding. That's not Mothman. So, boy, my jokes are falling flat. I feel like, so this is a tad bit unsettling.
Oh wow. Okay. Is this supposed to
So,
be like prison drawings, or what's the
well,
what's the
so
story?
without splitting, here's a Sun Ra cover, I think. Anyway, all right. So my
We
jokes are falling flat.
speaking of which, Trevor, he was there for like our first show, and then he disappeared, and we don't know what happened. So I'm gonna just say that maybe we turned him on to Sun Ra, and he just like he's laying in a gutter somewhere,
just listening to Sun Ra
just
tunes.
listening to Sun Ra.
I like that better than the probability that he lost interest. So I'll take that one and run with it.
Right.
So you talking about if these are indeed prison drawings? Yes, but I'm going to preface that by saying this is not a physical prison. This is more or less a soundtrack that it could be about a physical prison, it could be about incarceration and in a prison, but I really think that it's also a little bit deeper than that. I think it's something that everybody's in a prison, so to speak, with one facet or another. Everybody's got their issues, everybody's got something that is weighing them down, and that's kind of what this album really is about.
So is it like
it's
it's a concept album, but what is Like, what is the story? Like, is that
Well,
just tell me the story, right? Just like
the,
what
I
you,
can't do that without spoiling it for you.
you
So the
spoil it for
story,
me. Spoil it for me.
the story is more or less. Um, I really don't want to give this away. You really need to listen to this record. You really do.
Let me hold on. So let me guess.
It's
There's no dark side of the moon. In fact, it's all dark. Is that how it spoils?
so what else I've been listening to outside of this? No, it's really. I don't want to bring the show down, but it's really it's a
Just
very personal record. You know,
okay. All right.
it's an album that really kind of holds your attention a little bit. Um, I just it's just a good record, man.
Okay.
It's just a great record. I don't want to tell you the story because I don't want to spoil anything
Okay.
for
All
you
right.
because it's kind of left up to I think it's kind of more or less left up to interpretation.
Okay. All right.
But
I've
I
never
think
seen it
that
before, so I have. I mean, I'll have to seek it out and
yes.
take a listen to it. But I mean, I know that he did that. He did that quite a bit. I think I have a
Well,
CD of
there's
his.
two other albums that are not
Okay.
sequels, but they're kind
Is
of
it the
they're
Garden? Was that one of them? Okay. So I
that's
have that. Okay, so I have the Garden. I have that on CD, and there was a massive booklet with it. It's a single CD, but then there was it was in like a double case just so they could do
Mhm.
the thing. So okay, all right, I'll look into it. I'll look into it.
So it's a really great record. You know, they've got a song, you know, entitled, you know, "Dancing Between the Raindrops." That just it's kind of thought provoking. You know, you kind of, you know, you dance in between the rain is to not get wet, is to enjoy that time before, you know, just it's just a really solid album that I think if you can get into it, you can get in that right headspace. I mean, you can read the book and kind of put yourself there a little bit and kind of realize. I just think it's a good record. It's
Yeah,
really a lot of
cool.
fun. I wouldn't. It's not a happy record. It's not. It's Friday. I just got paid. You know, just like you wouldn't put on Berlin, I would suggest putting this
Or
on
After
either.
Weeks, right?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe stick with some ZZ Top. Man, it's 5 o'clock. I just got paid.
Leonard Cohen's songs of love and hate.
Yeah.
We
There
add
you
that to the
go. Put
list.
that on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So very cool.
yeah.
What else you got?
So you may keep going.
Yeah, you can, or if you want me to show
All
some
right.
stuff, I can. So
Well, here, yeah. Let me take a break. Let me
okay.
let you go.
All right, cool. So I have been listening to um I've been listening to this, which is the
Ooh.
which is a boot of the some of the Get Back sessions. So I've been really I don't know. I'm not necessarily going to say that I'm going to eat my words from that video I posted where I said I'm never going to get that, the Let It Be set. Craig, I know that Craig said he got it and he thought it was phenomenal. And everybody that I know that got it was like, oh my goodness, this is the greatest thing ever. Um, but I have been listening to Anthology 3, like that second disc is pretty much like that too. And I've been listening to this kind of stuff. So, um, it's fun. It's fun sort of revisiting this and sort of pitching down my record player a little bit because it was mastered a little bit faster than it needed to be and all that where it's like, oh, that's not the right notes. So yeah, this is cool. So this is a double album. But it has, the normal stuff, Don't Let Me Down and Two of Us and um,
Shaking in the '60s.
yeah, Shaken in the 60s is on
Yeah.
there. Good Rockin' Tonight, Across the Universe, Two of Us,
Teddy
uh,
Boy.
Teddy Boy, yep. So yeah, I've been listening to a lot of that. So I've been enjoying
Okay.
this, and it's kind of cool, like to see people sort of excited about the Beatles. Like I know that we live in a world where the vinyl community, all they do is ever talk about the Beatles. It seems like there's certain people that just that's their channel, right? And there's more than one, right? So it's not just one person. Um, but it's cool to sort of like no, it's just it's cool
I,
to it's cool to sort of like go back and because to
oh
be
yeah.
honest, I know how you and I listen to music, right?
Yeah.
And we're not just pulling out Beatles albums on the daily, right? Like it's like we got to be in a certain kind of mood to be like I'm going to put this on, and then when you put it on, it's just sort of like this is a perfect record. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's just sort of like they
And
couldn't
you
have
can say
changed
that
anything.
about any of their albums. Just pick one.
Yeah. Um, getting a lot of comments here from Oldies Radio. Says he has the anthology on cassette, lots of Twitter discourse and lots of hot takes. Yeah, and you know, I'm excited. Like I'm excited to watch it, and I think I haven't, I didn't do the Disney Plus thing, but I think if it comes out on Blu-ray, it's definitely something that I'd want to get and just sort of have that I can just kind of watch whenever I want to. And it's interesting to see. It's almost like the stories, and I think there's always been sort of that romanticism around the Beatles about oh, if the Beatles only had stayed together and all that. And that's kind of a tough, if you think about silly love songs and Wings at the Speed of Sound, and you think about sort of that album and the Plastic Ono Band and um,
Well,
you
I
know
think it's always. I'm sorry.
yeah, just what are they going to do? Put out a double album every single album from there till whenever? You know what I mean? So those guys had to go and find themselves, and we look at it as, oh, hey, they're they moved on and things like that. So um, yeah, so it's
Well, I
cool
think
cool to
it's
see people excited about it right now. So
I think it's easy to kind of romanticize that and fantasize about, oh, if they would have just stayed together, they would have put out, Abbey Road Part Two, and it would have been just great. And
right, yeah,
it's I think it's easy to do that.
yeah,
It's and it's fun to an extent to do that. But at the end of the day, it's we have such a perfect catalog from them, right? I'm not saying
right,
every song is great, but they've got 10 albums that are just they're just perfect.
yeah.
They're just absolutely perfect.
Mhm.
And the other ones that I don't think are perfect are pretty darn close.
Yeah. It,
So
and I think one thing that's cool too is just to kind of see, like, there's the people that sort of are like that got it wrong, right? They're like, oh my goodness, they were doing both Abbey Road and Let It Be at the same time. Like it's like people just don't understand. Like they just don't understand how that. And again, we're talking about stuff that happened 50 years ago.
yes,
And it's kind of funny that's lost on people where, yeah, like Abbey Road was the last album, but it wasn't the last album. You know what I mean? Or
right.
like basically that sort of that sort of conversation. So um, it's cool. And I'm glad to see people are excited about it. And it reminds me of like the '90s when like the anthology came out. That this was you and I had that conversation that I think what at this point that from when the Beatles broke up until the first anthology came out, more time has passed since the first anthology came out to like the current time. I think you
Which is wild to think
I think
about.
which is yeah, I think you and I had maybe discussed that, or maybe that's next year. I don't know. It's either this year or it's next year, because I think it's 26 years since then, because it came out in '95, right? Yeah, it was
Yes.
yeah
Yeah, 95.
December of '95 was when that came out. So it's been 26 years, and that's been 25 years since the Beatles broke up. So right.
Crazy.
So
Crazy, crazy.
yeah, so it's cool because I mean I remember I was 12 years old in '95, just the absolute buzz that was around that release, how that was on TV. It was in every newspaper. People were like, hey, watch the Beatles anthology thing. It's going to be on TV. So, yeah, uh, got some more comments here. Uh, Craig says, as great as it would have been to have more albums from the Beatles, I think we got the perfect catalog with what they did. Agreed.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that
yeah.
I think that's where we're at.
Spot on.
Same thought. I thought about comparing Get Back to the anthology. Both came around Thanksgiving. Yeah. So yeah, really cool. Anthology marks the beginning of my relationship with them. I think in a lot of people
Oh,
too. I think a lot of people. I mean, I had, my mom was a huge Beatles fan. That was her
oh
band,
yeah.
and I got Anthology #1 for Christmas, and she was like kind of disappointed that the songs on there were not the ones like she thought it was more like a greatest hits package, but again this is the first time that sort of the bootleg recordings and outtakes and things like that were available to
Right.
people, which Steve, you and I, we love that stuff, right? Like, we've listened to the proper album so many times. It's like, yeah, we just want to hear where they played that with the 12-string guitar instead of the 6-string guitar. So
Or the extra harmonies on it or whatnot. I
right.
tell you that 8 days a week on Anthology 2.
Hmm.
Ooh, that's good stuff. That's good stuff, man.
What's the one that's on the other one on Anthology 2 that's the um I think it's "And Your Bird Can Sing," and that's the one that they're
Yes, with the extra guitar. Yeah,
like the extra,
very birdish.
the very jangly, like like it's
Yeah,
like that's a great track on that one too. So,
yeah.
Craig said I didn't grow up in the Beatles household, so they were one of the first bands of mine instead of what I heard from my parents. Ooh,
Oh,
so
very cool.
interesting. That's really cool, Craig.
Yeah,
So,
just like you, both of my parents were big Beatle fans, and I remember my mom had the cassette of like early day, or what is it, early Beatles.
yeah,
She had a cassette of that, and I listened to that all the time. I was probably 6, maybe 7 years old.
yeah. Oldies Radio said I
So, and
was
I just
only 5 when the anthology came out, so I don't remember much of that hype. It was crazy. It was everywhere. I can assure you
yeah.
that it was everywhere. And then like when Free as a Bird came out, like remember that, Steve? Like they were
You
like,
know what? To be perfectly honest with you, I was in '95. I was 9, so I don't. I
okay,
don't. I was familiar with them, but I don't remember, the buzz and things like that being around them
it was on VH1 all the
at
time.
this time.
It was on
Was it?
VH1 all the time. Yep,
Okay.
yep. So Craig said he was 9, so you guys are the same age. Congratulations. The
There
hype
we
was
go.
insane. It was insane.
86, baby.
Representing the 86th. So yeah, so I was listening to a little bit of that. I also one of the other things that I don't think
You
I
want to see something neat? Can I take the
yeah,
phone to the other
go
room?
ahead, go ahead.
Let me do this. Let me. We're gonna go on a journey. Let me show you this. Ooh, as
Ah,
I
ah,
all right.
ah,
Let,
ah,
let me show
ah.
you this. All right. This is live. This is I should have. But I known you were doing the Beatles. Ooh, this is better lighting. I should just do it in here.
There you
All
go.
right. So this is in my daughter's room because she is a starting to be a big Beatles fan. I got this. I bought this at the record store I worked at off of the one of the guys who works there. It is well. Let me just show you this.
There it is. There
So
you go. That's
can you
really
see that?
cool.
Okay.
Yeah, it's coming in all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
There was a record store that I used to frequent quite a bit that it changed hands and closed up in Pittsburgh, and they had one of those sort of hanging from the ceiling, was like one
Yeah.
of those little things that sort of turned around and all that, and like one of the mobiles, and yeah, that dude, that was Anthology was just yeah, it was everywhere. I think everybody was just I just can't even like describe sort of what the hype was. Like it just seemed like everything was about the Beatles, and 60 Minutes would do stuff with like, oh hey, we have Ed Sullivan footage and things like that. Like it was just a huge interest in the Beatles at that time. So
I do remember Ringo doing the advertisement for stuffed crust. No, you don't remember this?
I do,
Or he was
yeah.
like he was he goes eat it like this and he turns the pizza around and he eat crust first and I do remember that and he was on Shawnee Town Station too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was Mr. Conductor. It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
George Carlin for a little bit, and then it was Ringo, or maybe it was the other way around.
yeah,
It was Ringo first, and then it was George Carlin. I'm not sure.
maybe.
So,
So
Beatles singles were on VJ Swan and Tully. Yes, I have quite a few of those. So, Steve, I know I showed you a handful of my Beatles singles that I've been organizing 45. So,
yeah.
yeah. So, cool stuff, man. So, what? Oh, the other record I want to show you. So this record is, to me, one of those albums that I sort of discovered from reading Mojo magazine, and it's a
Uncut and Mojo.
it's a life changer of an album, right? So, um, I think we can agree that probably if we took a poll of everyone in the world, right? So like the probably the number one artist that's or the most what do I want to say here? So next to the Beatles, right? So the most universal artist that people would like would be like the Bob Marley.
Kiss. Oh, sorry.
That's number three. The Bob Marley, like Bob Marley legend, right? So that album has
Right.
sold how many bazillions of copies, right? Um, but I feel like this album is sort of right up there with it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Jimmy Cliff.
So the harder they come. So, man, this album, again, some introduction to sort of reggae, and I just Toots and the Maytals are on here. There's it's Desmond Decker on this one. Yeah, he's on this one, Shantytown. And Desmond Decker, which of course is the from the Rancid song, right? Desmond Decker was playing, like that's what he's talking about. Um, is that Lockstep I'm Gone? I think I'm not sure. Uh,
No, that's is it.
no, I can't remember the name of it right
No, I
now.
don't think. Anyway,
So the Harder They Come soundtrack. So I've been listening to that, but I dug out the Harder They Come deluxe edition. I don't know if you knew that they did a
ooh,
deluxe edition of this.
I
Um,
did. I'm sure it's high. I'm sure it's highly out of print,
yes. So
just like all that stuff
yeah.
is.
So disc one is, and it's interesting because this is like there's only a couple soundtrack albums of the. Was I telling you about the Easy Rider one the other day? Did I mention that to you?
No, no.
So there's a couple soundtrack ones that they did do the deluxe edition too, and so this is one, and then obviously the Easy Rider soundtrack that you get the Easy Rider original soundtrack album, and then the second disc is so like what do you put on that? Like what do you put on a soundtrack album? And it's all like I think it's called In the Air is what it is, like Thunderclap Newman song, and it's all sort of like hits from like 1967, 68, and 69.
It would be songs that would fit really well in with all that stuff.
Exactly, exactly. And but it's all stuff that like the Seeds pushing too hard and like Sir Doug Mendocino's on there.
Hmm.
It's all sort of so it's like it doesn't make sense to buy it because it's just sort of I have all that stuff other ways, so it doesn't make any sense. This, however, on the other hand, there's a lot of stuff on here that I don't have. Um, so that was one of the reasons why I picked it up. But the this was my introduction to Israelites by Desmond Decker. Have you ever heard that song
Okay.
before?
Yes.
So that's it. So that's one of the bonus tracks. I'll read some of the ones down through here. There's the Uniques, Toots and the Maytals. Johnny Nash, I can see clearly now is on there, which is sort of feels out of place, but I get it. Like I understand why that's on there. The Ethiopians, Dave and Ansel Collins Double Barrel. Have you ever heard that song before?
I have not. No.
That one's a pretty fun one. The Medallions are on here. Some more stuff by Jimmy Cliff and Toots and the Maytals, but that's for the most part what's on there. But yeah, so I've been listening to that. I love this album. I think it's one of the if you have Bob Marley Legend and you're looking for more entry level reggae, this is definitely something that should be in your collection. So,
Jimmy Cliff live, the live greatest hits live or whatnot. You know what I'm
mhm,
talking about? That's a great record too. That was always played at the store. That was constantly played.
okay,
It's got Sitting in Limbo, Vietnam. Of course, The Harder They Come.
yeah,
So you can make it if you try. I mean, it's a great live record. What a tight band
yeah.
behind him too.
So, like, would you agree? Like, so if
Oh,
somebody like would this be
I
like in
want
your
more reggae. What else should I get? Yeah, either that I would recommend. Well, you've got Legend. Go ahead and go ahead and get Catch a Fire or
right?
whatnot. But realistically, yeah, that's the journey into the roots
It,
and back
right,
catalog
right.
is starts with that.
Stuff that's not Bob Marley or Peter
Sure.
Tosh, right? Like if you have Peter Tosh legalize it, you have you have a couple
Or
Bob.
you could get Musical Youth. That would
Okay,
be a way to
right,
go too.
right, yeah.
No, past the Dutchie.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking. I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
How about Frankie the Frogman Smith with the double Dutch funk?
Actually, you know what? Eka Mouse is really good too. If we're going to get down into reggae and things like that, Eka Mouse is awesome.
Fela
So,
Kuti says Oldies Radio. Peter Tosh. Yep.
yeah.
Uh, they got the 45 of Double Barrel. It's more like a dub, like so sort of that Studio One kind of dub, sort of like it just kind of sounds like it's little mixes of things all together. Um, but yeah, would you put this as like one of your top 100 albums of all time?
No.
You wouldn't. Okay. I,
Legend would be on there.
Legend would be on there. Okay.
I don't know because see, I kind of
The
exclude
CD or
greatest hits,
the CD or
but
the vinyl version, because there's two different
but
versions, right?
there would be a Bob Marley album on
Okay. All right, that's fair.
there. Maybe Burning and Looting. I like that one a lot. Let's go a little deep.
Okay. I would put Exodus. That one is
Well,
that was my introduction to Bob Marley. So
Is that what that album's called? What's the one with
Burnin',
uh
Burnin' is the one.
Burnin'?
Yeah,
What Burn? What? But yeah, that one's really solid. That's a great record.
I have that on deluxe edition too. That's on there. They did that
Really?
one, and yeah, they did that one, and then because there's two different ones. There's one like it looks like a cover that's like the wood, like a wood burned, and then
Yeah.
then the other one's like just him with like a huge joint in his mouth. Is like
Okay.
the yeah, because they're the same thing, but they did two different covers with it. But um, yeah. Yeah, Catch a Fire. They did that one as a deluxe
Yeah.
edition too. So, yeah. So I've been enjoying that. So I know that a lot of the stuff I show has been like compilations and sort of uh, I don't know. That's just I guess tend to gravitate towards that. I like to listen to just sort of one-off kind of things, and then I explore the catalog otherwise. So Bob Marley Live would go on my top 100. That I believe has the cut of No Woman, No
No
Cry
Woman,
on it.
No Cry. Yeah. I would probably put that Jimmy Cliff Live on the top 100. You got me thinking about it now. That's something I'm going to mull over. So,
Yeah. Well, whenever we make that list, which will never happen, you can put it on there.
I really think we should. Why not?
Dude,
And it would
no.
be constant revisions.
That's right. One thing I'm going to challenge you to, Steve, is
Uh oh.
what I think we should do in the year 2022, starting at January 1, is I think that we should keep
It's
listening
a good place
journals.
to start.
Yeah, good place to start, right? Let's do listening journals where we write down what we listen to every day for
Okay.
365 days, and let's see how it turns out, and we'll see how it goes, right? So let's do that. Um,
Day number one, Kiss, Music from the Elder, followed by Lick It Up, followed by day number two, Kiss Unmasked, followed by Kid. No, I'm kidding.
we should
But
we
that
should
would
do
be
something where
fun.
you challenge yourself. Like we should figure out a challenge. Like you got like
You,
an
you,
A artist, a B artist, a C artist, a C D artist, something like that, or like
how
well,
do let me ask you this: how do you go about selecting? Like, I want to hear this. Do you have a song stuck in your head? Or do you just walk up, or do you just grab your device or whatever? And you're just like, what do I want to listen to? And you just kind of go, oh, this sounds good.
Well, you know how I have, I stream a lot of my music off of that music server that I have.
Mm-hmm.
So, right, so I can just access my collection that way. So really, there's two ways that goes onto the phone. There's the cache, and then there's sort of like the live folder. So the cache is like once you listen to a song, it downloads to the phone, and then it's like always on there. So a lot of times I'll put the newest stuff. I'll just kind of listen to those albums, and I'll just put that on there. And usually I just sort of either shuffle through those or just sort of listen to them in their entirety. And then based on the conversation that you and I have throughout the week, I'll usually like be like, oh, hey, this album, and I'll put it on there, and then I sort of listen to that. But it's all organic. Like it's all like I don't have a process to it, and it's just like sort of like you might mention something that makes me think about something, and then I listen to
Sure.
that album. So um, I'm constantly shazamming music at work. That's the way to do it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just like, you know, eh, people talk about, hey, how great things were 40, 50 years ago, but I think we have all the music at our fingertips right now, and I wouldn't want to, trade that for anything. I mean,
No.
I know that, I used to, listen to CD players and stuff like that all the time when I was a kid, and as soon as the iPod came out, I was like, this is ingenious. Like, I can't believe I can have all of this music at the same time, and I was an early adopter, and I mean, I haven't used it, but of course, my phone still accomplishes the exact same thing, So yeah. But I did want to talk about these two albums. I know that you and I got really excited about this, but we got
Nice.
one from the King Crimson Collectors Club. This is the Fillmore East, November 21st and 22nd, 1969. Um, they opened for, I told you this early in the week, and I forget who it was. Joe Cocker, Joe Cocker and Fleetwood Mac. I think we're on the same bill.
That is one thing I absolutely love about some of these old bills that you look at is it's just the most thrown together what it seems like. It's like here's King Crimson with JoJo Gunn and Carol King. It's just
Right.
it's the most wild bill, but somehow but I also think that it also speaks to that, it's so great to have a bill like that because it opens just the general public up to maybe music they wouldn't normally listen to, or an artist they wouldn't normally check out. Kind of like, I guess, essentially what George Harrison did with Rabbi Shankar.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that that you look at certainly the Fillmores, the East and West. I think that they were really pioneers of that, where they would put together those bills that were just, three amazing artists, and then even
Yeah,
at some point, like in the late '60s, where they started doing, oh, here's Chuck Berry, here's Muddy Waters, and then whatever, and of course, the Dead played with Miles Davis for a few shows, like was it April of
can you
60,
imagine?
69 or 71. I can't remember what it was offhand. Um, but yeah, I think that, and that's what I love about this, because I love about getting these recordings and then just sort of like doing a little bit of research and saying like, okay, what was going on? This, of course, is from the King Crimson Collectors Club. There's some really cool shows that are in these. Some of these are pretty far out of print. They do have the one that's the Hyde Park show, so the one
Okay,
where the Rolling Stones played Hyde Park, sort of that Brian Jones memorial show. King Crimson played at that. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I did not know that.
That was one of their first sort of live outings. So that was sort of what this is November. That was sort of in the summer. I want to
So
say like
June or
May, yeah, something
July,
like
maybe somewhere.
that. So that one is one that exists because they did film it. And there's a few, there's some shows from Detroit, like the Cobo Hall, and there's a couple from the Stanley Theater in Pittsburgh from like
Oh,
74 or something like that. So I might try to track those down. I know you've been helping me sort of navigate the King Crimson discography, because
yes.
the only album that I have is In the Court of the Crimson King, and I kind of thought that maybe that there was no way that they would ever be able to top that particular album, so I never tried to explore outside of there.
Well,
So,
you and I talked about that, and yes, they never topped that, but I think Larks and Red come pretty close to it.
mhm.
In the Wake Up at Zion, I don't like that record at all. Islands and those I've never gotten into those records, but I will tell you that Red and Larks are absolutely on par with In the Court of the Crimson King.
Okay, yeah.
I really really think so.
Craig says he recommends Red. It's a personal favorite. So
Yep.
that's what the
Yeah.
Steve. You said the same thing. So I'll
Yeah.
definitely check that out. You said Wake of Poseidon is not really
I'm not a big fan of that album.
okay.
That's just me. I've never been able to get into that or Islands very much.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
it's just
and I it's certainly going to the record store. I'd see their albums quite a bit. They were reasonably priced, but it was just never something that like I said, like after hearing In the Court of the Crimson King, I just felt like, oh hey, they were talking about, the band, sort of disbanded. Some guys were out, some guys were in, and there was never that sort of that core lineup that was the first group, right? Um, so I just never really explored it. I'll give you a really cool story too about sort of how I discovered uh, in the Court of the Crimson King.
yeah.
I actually didn't hear it until I was doing my college radio show, and I had a show that was called Afternoon Archives, and I played from I think usually it was from like 2 to 4 o'clock. I think was something like that. It was like 2 hour show, and I just played classic rock, and I really tried to like expand the listeners' minds by listening to my shows, and I never
You
played
didn't
the
want to just you just
yeah.
didn't want to play 2 straight hours of butt rock.
Right, exactly. I never played the same shows. I never played the same songs twice. So I kept a pretty heavy duty list of the songs that I played, and I always sort of, and I did that show for 2 years. So I probably did, I don't know how many shows that was, like 40 some shows, and I never did any repeats. And
Oh wow.
I was a manager for a little bit, so I managed, there was always like one person that sort of managed for all the shows that were on at that certain time. So that was sort of me. I had to pick some of the DJs out, and I had a few that like they just would play the same. Like I'd be like, oh my God, here's Hotel California again. You know what I mean? Like they would play this the same songs all the time, and I was just like, that's fine, but like I don't know. I felt like it was, there should have been something where you were actually like, listening to something and experiencing something. So
That's the whole. Yeah.
the show before mine was sort of like a midday blend, and it was really just up to the DJ. They could play whatever they want to. So sometimes you'd turn it on and it would be like Dave Matthews Band or something, just completely terrible. And 2 straight hours of Foghat. That's right. That's what Steve would be playing. So
Hey, it's just
the slow ride extended
the
version.
slow ride driving wheel. Yeah, we can the
um,
live version of slow ride followed by the studio followed by the single version.
so I go and I'm doing my show, and it was actually the very first one that I had ever done. And so the guy ahead of me was like, okay, hey, I'm getting out of here. He's like, and he would usually like play a long song as like the last song, as sort of the transition. And he would always play something that was like, this guy was smart. I wish I still knew him. Of course, this college was before Facebook and before all that, so it was just, hey, that's so and so, blah blah. But like, he never really, linked up with them. And then after they graduated, they just sort of disappeared. Um,
Hey, we got to get together sometime. Yeah, let's do that.
yeah,
Then
let's
you
do
never
that.
see each
And that was
other
the last
again.
time you ever saw them, right? So I'm going. He's like, okay, I'll play something that sort of like is a good thing you can lead into, and he played I Talk to the Wind, right? So
Ooh.
yeah, so like I'm there and I'm like listening, and I'm like watching the countdown, and because like I've never heard the song before, and I'm like, okay, all right, wait, all right, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to play like my first song, and after that, I just realized that you could just play that whole entire album. Like it didn't
Yeah.
matter what song it was. Like you could just play, and I was just like, this is one of the greatest albums that I ever discovered. And I bought it. And like I said, I never was like, I never had somebody saying like, oh, hey, this is a King Crimson song that you should listen to as well. Like that was just that guy sort of like saying like, yeah, this is good. And you should listen to that. And that was my introduction. So,
Very
um,
cool.
I learned a lot about music by doing that show. Like, I love the band Loved, Electra. I had there was the show after mine was um, Modern Mayhem, and it was more so or more sort of like that. You could play 80s and you could play 90s and you could play stuff from the 2000s. So a lot of people played indie rock, and he would kind of play like all over the place. He had an amazing show, and he would play like Seven and Seven Is, and then he would play like Black Rebel Motorcycle Club or like the Brian Jones Style Massacre or something like that. And I'm just like in there, just like just like, oh, I gotta listen to what this guy's playing. It's all music I've never heard of, and it's amazing. And yeah, so that was just a heck of an introduction to King Crimson. This is Epitaph. Um, so this is volumes two, or I'm sorry, one and two. They actually did 4 volumes for this, so it's kind of an interesting package. They did. There's there's like a little card that you could mail away to get volumes 3 and 4,
Oh
because
wow.
it's like what Robert Fripp owns the label. Like he's very like
He's very hands on with his material.
yeah, well, hands off with his material. I think is probably
So
he's very hands on, and everybody else is very hands off. I think is probably the way to describe it.
fair enough.
Um, but yeah, they come in these little booklet things, and there is a little bit of repeat. So this does have 3 of the songs from this CD, but it also has some of the other songs from. They played the Fillmore West in December, so like
Oh,
they
okay.
came to the United States. They played those Fillmore East shows. I think sort of bounced around. I think went up to Detroit, Chicago, did that, and I think they went down to Florida for a little bit. Um, there's a great story that was in here that was I think I'm not exactly sure what the I don't remember who it was, but they went down to Florida, and oh man, I wish I knew it. I forget what this story was. Um, they went and saw something. I can't remember if it was like a movie or it was like they went and saw a band play or something like that in Florida, and their manager was like super angry at them. I'll save it. I'll tell the story next time. I can't remember what it was. Um, but yeah, so so then after that they went and they played in the Fillmore West, and guess who they opened for there? This
In
is
Florida,
Yeah, this is no. This is it. This is the Fillmore West in
Grateful Dead.
no, no.
Fillmore.
Not a band that you would think of that was.
So not a San Francisco band.
I think they were, or they were either a San Francisco band or an LA band. I think it might have been a San Francisco band.
Quicksilver.
Nope. You're close though.
Moby Grape.
Nope. Even closer.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna get this. Big Brother and the Holding Company.
Nope. But you're very close.
Santana.
Nope.
All right. Well, all right.
The Chambers Brothers. The Chambers Brothers.
Doggone it. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I would not have gotten that one.
So here, I think this is it here. So let me see. So the Fillmore West, when they played in San Francisco, this is actually where Greg Lake met Keith Emerson. So of course, that didn't go anywhere, right? Those guys didn't do anything after that. Yeah, so this is it here. So they do their Goddard College in Rainfield, which I believe is in Vermont. They played the Boston Tea Party. Then they played the Kinetic Playground in Chicago, the Easttown Theater in Detroit, which is one of those Ted Nugent and the Amboy Dukes live albums was recorded there. That was another venue.
Is that the one where he's got like the crossbow?
I think so. Yeah. Where he's like,
or I'm sorry, like
the bow and arrow. Yeah. And then they played at the Grandi Riviera, which it's not that's not the Grandi Ballroom. And then they went to the Fillmore East, and then so here it is here. So they had a week off, so they had to play the Palm Beach Festival. So they went down to Florida, and let me see, who did they do? I don't know what it was. Sorry, this is a waste of time. There was something that happened here. They met Johnny Winter.
They went to Florida.
They go to Florida. They meet Johnny Winter.
You gotta stop right there. That sounds horrible.
Yeah, exactly.
They went to Florida.
God said Abraham, give me a son. Then they went to the Whiskey A Go-Go. So they played. They were booked at the Whiskey, which could you imagine that?
And this is all based on their first record. Let's keep that. This is a new band on their first album getting booked at all these venues.
Yep,
it's pretty amazing.
And then they did a show, Big Sur, California, and then they played the Fillmore West, and then they came back to New York, and that was the show. And then that show that you sent to me, which was the Marquee Club.
It was Marquee, yeah.
That was after they came back. So that was like,
I got you.
So that was
they were off the American tour, and that was the start of the European tour, UK tour. Okay, well, cool.
Exactly. I'll figure out what that story was. That I don't remember what it is. That Greg Lake did something specific in Florida. It's
audition for Leonard Skinner.
Yeah, that was gay. They were doing Gator Country with Molly Hatchet.
When I play guitar. All right.
If you want to go ahead and share something, I'll read through this real quick and I'll figure out what it was.
No, because I want you to find it. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, let me go ahead and talk about this because I'm not sure if you're familiar with this. Kind of on the same lines. Yes, Relayer. Are you familiar with this album?
No, so go ahead, and I know that we've been talking about Yes and about prog rock in general. So nice segue, by the way, Steve. Excellent.
So hey, that's why I'm here. So this is their album that they after Rick Wakeman joined. He left, and he is not on this album. And I know that may be kind of a turnoff for some people. Once Wakeman got in the band really seemed to kind of hit their stride and start cranking out albums. I think the Yes album is the best thing they've ever done, but I'm also not going to argue if people say Fragile or whatnot, because those are all really terrific albums. But what I find interesting about Relayer is it's an album that is the band attempting, I think, to capture another Close to the Edge, which is a phenomenal record. Are you familiar with Close to the Edge?
Mm-hmm.
So this is 3 songs. They're all very different, but they all kind of are cohesive and they really work well together. One of the reasons that Wakeman left is he found that the tour for Songs from a Typographical Ocean, the songs were too long and the material suffered.
Wow.
So if Rick Wakeman is saying your songs are too long, then
Yeah.
well, you got some splaining to do. So
So
I thought that go ahead.
so you were saying, so Rick Wait he wasn't in the band for this album, or this was the last album he
No,
was
he
on?
left.
He
He
left,
left,
and so
and he came back.
he at this point he's doing what, the Journey to the Center of the Earth? Is that the one, or no?
Exactly,
Or no?
exactly. Because this
Is that the yeah? That's the one he
six
did.
why the
Yeah, the Six Wives of
and,
Henry VIII.
yes, and because this came out in December
Okay,
of 1970, December 5th, 1974. So the couple of records that I picked came out in December, which was
fitting.
I guess cool. Yeah, so that worked out well. But I really think that's a good record. I think it's kind of it is Yes's lost gem. It's an album that I think is really strong. It's really solid for the turmoil that they were going through. I think that should be in the conversation as far as Yes albums to get and enjoy. So
Yeah.
that is one that I highly recommend.
Well, I also I picked up that bootleg, so I'm kind of excited to. Well, I guess you not necessarily a bootleg because it's just the BBC sessions, but I'm sort of excited to sort of get into. I do have the first album. I see Old Ears Radio says they do not have that first one from 1969, which I think is. I don't think it sounds like any of the other Yes albums, to my
No,
understanding, right?
no,
Yeah. So
no.
it's more like a sort of a rock,
Well,
just like a
I mean, there's prog elements to it, certainly with every little thing. They kind of do some interesting things in that. Survival's amazing. That's one of their best songs. Period.
Is that on the
Um,
Tormato album?
that later stuff is hard to get. This is kind of my dropping off point. I
Okay.
like going for the one that came out in '77. I like going for the one pretty well, but Relayer is kind of like my dropping off point. I think that you've got the Yes album, Close to the Edge, Fragile, and I mean those I've always talked about anyway, like a string of albums, like a really good side, and that's a really good trio of albums that I think are just perfect records. They really are. They're absolutely great. And Relayer, I don't think is comparable to those, but I think that it's close to it.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
close to the edge.
it's as long as it has a Roger Dean cover, it's got your stamp of approval, right?
I mean, you look at this. They got some knights. They got a big giant snake on there. I mean, yeah, that's how could
So
you not?
so no, though you said those exist. There's bonus tracks on that, or is that just are they just
Well,
straight albums or
so these
remastered?
are the bonus tracks are just the single edits for all of these.
Okay.
Well, there's soon the single version, Sound Chaser, the single version, and then a studio run through. But this is, I mean, this came out in 2008. These are all really really well done. They're remastered. They sound really great, and these are fairly inexpensive. You can pick these up, and Yes is one of those bands that you can't really listen to singles, much like prog bands in general.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of got to take them and the entire record as a whole. Exactly.
Right, listen to the whole
Exactly.
thing. Yeah. No, I mean they're a band that I've definitely neglected, and again the um getting the getting CDs for $6-7 or whatever. I'm all about that. So
Sure.
I'll definitely sort of look into that as some musical horizons to expand. Um, so what do we got here? Owner of a Lonely Heart. Yeah, that's some '80s yes there. So that's
They did make that song. That is true.
they did
They
that.
did.
That is a Yes song. That is one that they made.
Yes.
They sure did. Um, well, I think did I know that I wanted to show this. Did I show this last time? This
I
breakthrough?
don't think so.
I think I showed the other one. I think I showed the 1971. So this is the one that
Yeah,
just
yeah. You did not show that.
this just came out maybe about 2 weeks ago. I think it might have been brand new for the last show. I think. Again, this is on the Esoteric label. Um, Underground Sounds of 1971. The last one was in 1970. Another 4 disc, so lots of great tunes on here. There is some Yes tunes on here, Steve. So we'll start with there. Heart of Sunrise is on here.
Ooh. Okay.
I think there's another one. I think there's maybe more than one or maybe not. Um, the of course, descriptive liner notes. Um, they're in alphabetical order, which is a little weird. I would rather have them in order of the song, so I don't have to keep flipping through the book. There's some stuff from the In Hearing of Atomic Rooster. That album's in
Oh,
there. Some stuff from Audience. Do you know them? They were on the
audience now.
Electra 4000 label as well too. They had one Electra album. Um, let's see. Barclay James Harvest, of course. Um, Arthur Brown. There's a Jack Bruce tune on here, so of course,
Oh,
like post Cream,
yeah.
Jack Bruce.
What's the song?
It's a folk song from Harmony Row. It's not what is I don't that's not his big. He's like one album that's like a pretty decent solo album, right? Is he like looking
Songs
through a
for a
window?
Tailor.
Songs for a Tailor. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
and then there's also what is it? Things We Like, or what's the name of that record? Things. I'm a big Cream fan, and
okay.
I'm a big Jack Bruce fan. But there's what Things We Like, where he's like eating cereal or something like that, and
Hmm.
in front of a car, and there's a dog. That one's decent too. I know that sounds
Yeah.
wild, but yeah, it's the stuff that Jack Bruce did, especially BLT. You familiar with that album?
Yep.
Just his whole career, I just think is really different. And then he put out. I was listening to it
Wes
earlier
Bruce and
today. That
Lang,
album.
right? Wes Bruce
Well,
and
well,
Lang.
that's amazing. I mean,
Right.
Leslie West is one of my favorite guitar players. Period. But he did this stuff. What? Gosh, what was that? I just had it on earlier. The album he did with Robin Trower. Moon something, but that one's really good. And that came out. Yeah, that came out about 15 years ago at this point.
Oh,
But
really?
I
Okay.
take it you're not as into Jack Bruce solo stuff
No, I'm
as
not.
I am. Okay, fair
Yeah,
enough.
I mean, it's just again, it's like one of those things that it's cool to hear on a compilation where it's just like one track, but I'm not gonna go out and buy unless that track is phenomenal, which I don't believe this one is. Because I think I was like listening, I was like, who's this? And then I look and it's like Jack Bruce. I'm like, that's weird. Um, but yeah, again, it's one of those things. That's why I like these comps because they kind of open my eyes to stuff that I definitely wouldn't look out or seek out or anything like that. Um, they got the 1538 Overture from the Electric Light Orchestra from the first Electro Light Orchestra
I've
album.
never heard that album. I've
Yeah,
never heard the first album.
that's the one that's Roy Wood is still in. That's before he leaves to go to Wizard, and then Jeff Lynne pretty much takes over ELO and makes them the ELO that we know. Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Bitches Crystal from Tarkus. So talking about prog
Okay,
prog albums, so that one's on there. So like, well, what song do you put on there, right? So if you're like, oh, we got to put an ELP song on here. Um,
Benny the Bouncer.
yeah, there's the band Family. Are you familiar with them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the female group.
No. That's Fanny. This is
No,
Family. Yeah, this is
Fanny. Okay,
Family. Yeah. Um, yeah. This is their album. I'm sure you've. Whoops. There's a camera up there. Have you seen this before? It sort of has like this pictures of the. It's sort of like a die cut cover, and then like each
I
one
don't
of
think
the.
so.
Yeah. I want to say that Rick wasn't that Rick Greck in this band. The guy that was with Traffic for like one or two albums, I think.
Okay,
And he played bass for Blind Faith. Yeah, he played bass for Blind Faith, I think. So
okay.
yeah, so there's some stuff from them on there. Our good friends Hawkwind, of course, Master of the Universe
Nice.
is on there.
Of
So
course. I really no Silver Machine. I thought they would have put that on there.
I think that's 72.
Two.
Yeah, I think that's
Okay.
72. Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, that wasn't on that album. So Jade Warrior is on here. Wind Weaver from the Jade Warrior. You familiar with them? Are you a fan of them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They're okay.
You got there's actually two Jethro Tull songs on here. So one from an E.
Teacher.
No, Mother Goose from Aqualung, and then Life is a Long Song from an EP that they put out in 1971. So
Okay.
yeah. So again, this is I don't know, man. These are I love these, and I love just sort of sitting down and just reading through the notes and just kind of enjoying this. So there's some good stuff coming out from Grapefruit, but not until February. So really, there's like a month off before they have some more things coming out. So Breakthrough, the underground sounds of 1971. So
Dun-dun-dun.
um, I think I got like one more thing I'll show here if you're cool with that. What do you got left?
Yeah, of
You
course.
got that one album that we were talking about. Did you bring that one?
Which
The BBA album,
this one?
that album.
I do indeed.
Let's talk
You want
about
to
that.
jump into it?
No, you
All
talk.
right.
You go ahead. Yeah, you talk about it.
Okay.
Look,
All right.
I got a
So,
bigger one.
well, I do too, but you know me, I can't find it, so I had to grab this one. Um, so full disclosure, I do not see what the big deal about Jeff Beck is.
No, I think we both agree with that. I think I said he was like Joe
A
Bonamassa.
robot.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, yeah.
like it's again
It's no soul. It's
there's
all
no soul to him,
it's
right?
just
Just
kind of
notes.
like yeah, yeah, it's just notes. That's perfect. Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
perfect. With that being said, though, this is a fantastic record. This is a solid album. It's released in April 6th of '73, and it reached number 12, which I was surprised it was reached that high. I thought this was, I'm not going to say obscure, but I guess if you attach Jeff Beck's name to it, it's gonna, especially in 1973, it's gonna pull some numbers on.
So, well, my thoughts are on this is that there's kind of two things. I think that the tune Superstition, so that wasn't released as a single. So I do have that. I have that in front of me here because I know we wanted to talk about that. Um, in the UK, they released Black Cat Moan and Living Alone as a single. And in the United States, they released Lady and Oh I Love You, and then I'm So Proud along with Oh I Love You. So they really tried to push that song. So they did that in April of '73 and also July of '73. Um,
Okay.
and then really April of '73. Did you say that was when the album came out, right?
April the 6th, yeah,
Yeah.
73.
Okay. So and then again, it went to number 12. So I think that song alone, I think was, again, this is album oriented rock. So I think that was one of those things where it was like, oh man, you got to get this thing. They weren't going to release that as a single because it was just, a mind blowing song. Um, I would say that it's probably one of the better songs on there. I don't know if it's the best song on that album, but it's up there. But let's hear you talk about it.
Um, Honestly, I like the like sweet surrender, and I'm so proud. The more ballady tunes, I think that's where they kind of shine on this. Yeah, those guys can rock, and Lady is really good, and
Hmm.
uh, lose myself with you. I mean, those are good rocking songs, especially the Black Cat Moan. I mean,
Hmm.
that song's really great. I mean, that's
Do, do,
very
do. Yeah.
creamish.
Yeah, that
You
just
know,
the way that
I
it kicks the album off is just like,
yeah, I
yeah.
mean that's a good one, but I really enjoy kind of the more ballady songs. And who knew that Carmine Appice or Appice? See, Carmine Appice and his brother, they call Carmine Appice, but they call Vinny Appice,
Hmm.
and they're brothers. It's the weirdest thing in the entire world. So I'm not even sure how you pronounce their names, but it's a good record. They never had a follow up because Jeff Beck dissolved the band as they were just starting to record,
Well,
their
they have the live
sophomore
one,
album.
right? The live
But that was
that
only
was like
released in Japan.
only in
Yeah,
Japan, yeah. So,
yeah.
which I think it has pretty much the exact same cover, and it just says like live in Japan, right? Isn't it like the
It's
exact?
red. Yeah,
It
yeah,
says
yeah.
red, right?
It looks
Exactly.
just like this, but it's red, and it says live in Japan. That's
Have you heard that?
and
Have you heard it?
I
Okay.
have, yeah.
Is it any
Yeah,
good, or is it
it's
like?
really yeah. They're a really solid live. That's where, and that's a shame too, because that's really where they shine is live, and it's really a shame that never really got a proper domestic release.
Mhm.
Because the band, they're good. They're really good. They all mesh really well together. It's basically. Are you familiar with Cactus?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because Craig just he just put that in the chat. But I wanted to go. Not John Nine said I mostly agree, but Constipated Duck on Blow by Blow is funky as hell and worth a listen. So yeah, I mean those albums are all right, but I just they're uneven, and I don't think that they're. I don't know. It's just a tough. It's a lot of notes. It's a lot of notes, and it just I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. I mean, I have Blow by Blow. You used to see that all the time. I mean that
Yeah.
was so big. And what was the other
What's
one?
that
The
traffic jam or something
yeah
like that that's on there? That's
the Jan Hammer group or whatever, right? So yeah, that I mean, again, those were those are dollar bin records that they just. I get it. I understand, and I don't want to completely say that his career was terrible. Um, it just doesn't. just doesn't do it for me. Even that one that's the Jeff Beck group that has like all the different pictures of the fruit on the front of it. You know which one that
Yeah.
one is? And then there's
Or
again
Truth.
the truth.
Like
Um,
Truth is, I mean, it's okay, but I just you maybe I'm missing something with Jeff Beck. But when people talk about the Yardbirds, I mean, I think head and shoulders Jimmy Page stands above both Beck and Clapton. But again, that's just one fellow's opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, Blow by Blow is the album that he put out right after this, so he kind of really went from that to to that album. I just, again, I don't, I feel like he's a good side man, but like, yeah, it just, just that stuff, late '70s, kind of, I don't know, it just seems it's a little much. So, we got Beck Ola, yeah, again, it's another one that's just like. I,
Yeah.
I think that considering that he never really had, so you got Rod Stewart, that's on that first on Truth. To me, it's almost more like a Rod Stewart album, just because it's like,
I
it
mean,
reads as
yeah,
though, it's you don't really even like consider it a Jeff
sure.
Beck album. I will give him Beck's Bolero, like that's an awesome tune. Like
Yeah.
okay, like that's cool, but Hi Ho Silver Lining I think is all right too, but it's just like. Mm, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what the appeal is. So John says that's fair. Thank you, John. I mean again,
Yeah.
I'll
I
listen
mean,
to it, but it's not an album that I feel like I need to to go or pull out of my collection or anything like that. So,
mm,
and then Craig to mention what you were talking about, he said interesting to listen to this album if you listen to Cactus catalog before listening to this. So
yes.
a
and, and,
resounding
and,
yes
and
to that.
this is and I love Cactus. Cactus is great, and this is more like you just got done saying about Truth being more of a Rod Stewart album. This is really, to me, a continuation of Cactus.
Hmm.
There's very little difference. I would say if you enjoy Cactus, you'll very much like this, and vice versa. If you like this and you've never heard of Cactus, please go running headfirst into Cactus.
Yeah.
They're fantastic.
So do you know just off the top of your head? Sorry for putting you on the spot, but like
No,
so Vanilla Fudge, how did they sort of dissolve?
I'm not sure how that
Okay,
band dissolved, but I know that obviously Tim and Vinny, or excuse me, Tim and Carmine stuck together and formed Cactus, and then when Cactus kind of dissolved, they went to with Jeff Beck and
okay,
and all that. But as far as Vanilla Fudge, I do not know much about that band, kind of their latter period.
okay.
Rock and Roll is a great record by Vanilla Fudge. That's an album that I'll have to kind of maybe put on one of these lists one day to kind of talk about.
Yeah. And
Um,
I mean, their albums like, again are ones that, you'd see all the time. So it was pretty easy to sort of pick up their full discography. I mean, I know that I have stuff that there was even one that it's before they were Vanilla Fudge album and, like the earlier stuff when they were sort of doing, the garage band stuff.
yeah,
So, I really don't know too much about them. I really need to, kind of delve in a little bit more. So, um, Season of the Witch is a good cover. Yeah. That first album is really amazing. I think it's pretty awesome.
yeah, I would
Um,
agree.
so Oldies Radio says I only have one or two Cactus records. I think there was only two, right? Was there
No,
more?
there's one, two, three, four. There's three or four, and then you
Okay.
have Sonic Cactus,
Okay.
which isn't too good. But yeah, there's
Because there's the red
how
one,
many
and then what? There's
because
No Way Out or One Way Out is what it is, or One Way or Another. That's
yeah,
what. Here, let me
yeah,
look
I
and
think
see if
there's
they're in here.
four. Yeah, there's four Cactus records
Can I
because
get
you've
five
got
Cactus
Cactus,
records?
Hot and Sweet, One Way or Another, and then the ones with the headless dudes on it. So yeah, there's four Cactus records, and they're all great. Yeah, Craig's absolutely right, man. Cactus is solid.
Well, we were saying, well, you and I were talking about sort of how like, okay, how was what they were doing? Oh, Cactus, see Vanilla Fudge. So I got to go to the Vanilla Fudge page. We were talking about sort of how that like, people talk about Led Zeppelin all the time, and then nobody ever talks about Cactus or Vanilla Fudge or anything like that, and just how there's sort of
And
that, there's sort of that, you know, there is that sort of dotted line, I would say, where what the Led Zeppelin
well,
I
I
think
thought
opened for Vanilla Fudge, right?
Well, yeah, and there's a lot of comparison, I think, between Carmine and John Bonham, and
Especially on
you know,
YouTube comments by people
oh
over
my
the age of
goodness, those people
50.
who like Carmine, they worship at the altar of Carmine Apiece.
All right, here we go.
I mean,
So we have Cactus. That was July of 70.
right?
We have One Way or Another. That was July of 71. September of 71, they had Token and Chokin. That came out. It was a single.
Okay,
um, and then 72 is Restrictions.
restrictions. That's what the album I was thinking
Yeah.
of.
And then there was October of 72, Ot Sweaty.
The
Ot
Sweat.
Sweaty.
Yep. So that's 4 albums.
Whew,
Look at me.
look at you. And then Vanilla Fudge reformed in 82. So, yeah, interesting stuff. So yeah, that's it. So do you want to talk anymore, or what do you?
No,
I think
no,
I
no.
think we're
I've said my piece on it.
awesome. Um, I mean, I got more compilations, but I'll save this for another show. I think that's
Well, hey, it's up to you, man. Do your
uh,
thing.
Restrictions will light your speakers on fire.
There you go. It's good stuff, man. It's seriously, those 4 Cactus records, all of them are good.
Well, why don't we take a look at this? Let's take a peekaroo at this here. So in my copy, there was the epic undercover, the that paper insert. So let's take a look and see what's on here, if you're interested.
Yeah.
So there's a little thing about the new Edgar Winter group. They're spotlighting the album. They only come out at night. So
Which is a good record. Autumn's a great song. Round and Round.
Undercover Man. Yeah.
You know, it's got some good stuff on it.
So
It's a lot better than this.
The new group includes
Ooch.
Dan Hartman on bass, ukulele, guitars, and vocals. Thanks, Dan Hartman. He sings lead on Free Ride and Autumn. Ronnie Montrose on guitars was with
Oh, that's
Sawbuck,
right. Yeah.
formerly with Sawbuck, and played on Boss Skaggs' first album. Not Silk Degrees though. I don't think he played on that one, right?
What can I do?
Lido. The new drummer was once in Sawbuck. With Edgar, they're the perfect unit. Listen to Undercover Man, an amazingly high sound comes to mind from 3 male voices. Butt rock at its finest.
I tell you what, though, Free Ride is a perfect song, though,
Come
is it
on
not?
and take a free ride. That's on that butt rock playlist, man. That's
That's not butt rock,
sure is, man.
dude. You can't. Yeah, that is so not butt rock. That is that. I'm gonna call an audit on this. No, you
Call an audible. Okay, all right.
Yeah, that no. That's no, absolutely not. We need to recount that and look at it again.
The spread of Egger's talents is pointed up by 3 or 4 keyboards he plays, the synthesizers and the tuned timbales.
Yeah.
He's
it's
versatile.
It's too bad his talent wasn't spread to his brother. Because holy smokes,
Right.
is Johnny Winter the worst singer of all time?
Oh man, Highway 61 is like the worst Johnny Winter song of all time. I feel like.
God's an
Abraham, give me some.
Put me out.
It's seriously like Cookie Monster singing Bob Dylan.
It's like if Cannibal Corpse, played on Bob Dylan's records. You know, it's terrible.
I'm sorry, we're just getting blown up here. So
okay,
let's see. It's a fun read. Frankenstein says oldies radio, yes. And he said, "Hell no, not butt rock at all." Okay, all right.
Thank you.
And then not John 9 says textbook butt rock. So
all right, okay. Can we define butt rock?
The people have spoken. The people have spoken.
No, it's a tie. It's 2-2, sir. We go into overtime with this.
All right, so
we need to define butt rock. Okay, I feel like
drop
that's what
in
we
the
need
chat
to do.
if you think that Edgar Winter is butt rock. Let's see what we got here. We'll give it a few seconds. So my definition of butt rock is,
and then I'll give you mine.
Okay, is classic rock that is the most derivative, has no redeeming qualities whatsoever, is something that you can just put on and you lose brain cells when you listen to it.
Any Ted Nugent record.
Nate Burchard says not butt rock. So we got 3 for not butt rock.
See?
And
it's not butt rock.
Okay, and Craig says it's not butt rock either. Okay, all right. So, and you know, in my opinion, probably the number one butt rock band is Bad Company, right?
Bad Company.
Right.
That's total butt rock.
So what's your definition of butt rock?
Butt rock, I would say you pretty much hit it on the head, but I'm going to
Okay.
go a step further. Not only is it derivative, but it can. Oh, not only can it be derivative, okay, that's a big part of it as well, but it's got to be ridiculously overplayed.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
See Grand Funk Railroad Locomotion.
Right.
Total butt rock.
The first Boston album. Can we throw that on there?
Total butt rock. It's a great record, but it's butt rock.
Oldies Radio says rock and roll fantasy or whatever, right? So
butt rock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
And Craig says I'll agree with you on Bad Company. So okay, so we at least defined butt rock. So now we have.
And again, let me go ahead and put the qualifier in here. They do not mean I don't like these records. You know, the first Boston album is great. It's one of the best debuts of all time, but it's butt rock.
Well, I don't.
Kiss,
but it has,
is very much butt rock,
right.
And I think I've made my point about Kiss over and over again, even tonight. But it's butt rock.
Right.
It's total butt rock.
Well, you don't have to. Again,
any band formed in 1984 is butt rock by default. Except maybe Dinosaur Jr.
you don't have to. Again, you don't have to have. There's no redeeming qualities to it. You don't have to say like, okay, this has it may have enhanced your life at some point, but it's not something that
enhanced your life at one point. Wow. Okay. Rock and roll hoochie coo. Butt
right.
rock.
Right. So how's that enhanced your life, right? Oldies Radio is saying my generation's butt rock. He put Trapped, Hindered, Nickelback, Puddle of Mud. So
yeah. that is you can throw Stained in there too.
Three Doors Down. You want to add that?
Yes, yeah. I'm trying to think of like 2003, 2004. What was like, the playlist like. I mean, Limp Bizkit. But they were almost passe at that point.
Oh yeah, they were. They were.
Then they were like, hey, let's do a Who cover. How about Behind Blue Eyes?
When it's really funny because that's when I worked at the record store when they had put out an album. I can describe to you what the cover art was. Sort of like a guy that had it was like a skull, and it was sort of like a kind of like a papery kind of look to it.
What album?
He was in red. It's a Limp Bizkit album. So that was out, and also Green Day American
$3 Bill, y'all.
Is that what it was? No, it wasn't that. No, not that one. No, this was like 2005 or 2006.
I don't know.
Here, let's consult the internet here.
Well,
because I'm sure everybody wants to know
we've talked about the Beatles, King Crimson, and now we're at Limp Bizkit. I just want to go ahead and state that.
I just want to make it was called The Unquestionable Truth. Part 1. That's what the cover looked like. Glowing. Got my brightness up. Yeah, so that album was out, and so was Green Day's American Idiot, and we probably sold like 20 to 1 on that. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. We couldn't
which
keep
direction? Like
Green Day American Idiot. We couldn't keep that in stock.
Yeah.
We would that was just selling like crazy. Craig says, "Good Lord, those bands are the diarrhea of butt rock."
I mean, they really are. That's an insult of butt rock. I think that's like we almost have to have a subgenre of butt rock.
So let's look at a couple more things on here real quick, and then we'll call it a night. So we have Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes with "If You Don't Know Them by Now," right? That was their jammer, right? If you don't know me by now, wasn't that them or not?
Maybe.
We'll have to look. I don't know. One second here. Let me get.
Or the Manhattans, maybe.
Okay, maybe that's who that was.
Could be. Don't take that to the bank though.
Then we also have 360 Degrees of Billy Paul.
Is that me and Mrs. Jones?
I think so. I think I just saw that. Yes, Me and Mrs. Jones. Wow, man, you're good. You're good. How do you know this?
I honestly, I love a lot of that, which I just say that, and I don't know Harry Melvin and the Blue Notes, but I like a lot. There's actually a good comp, and I should grab it and talk about it. But it's like a '70s soul mix, and it's got all that stuff on it. It's absolutely amazing.
Um, it, then they have the second album of REO Speedwagon, which is R E
Can't tuna
O
fish. Oh,
T O. Well, at the time it was REO or TWO.
oh,
REO
okay.
TWO.
Uh,
This has Let Me Ride, Little Queenie, Flash Tan, Queen, Music Man, Golden Country.
those all sound like excellent butt rock songs.
Yeah, they definitely do. It's five-cylinder speedster, the REO Speedwagon, revved up at the University of Illinois a few semesters ago. I guess they're talking about getting together. They rolled across campuses and universities in the Midwest and were joined by lead singer Kevin Cronin.
No, you
He
weren't.
had been with Fuchsia, as if we know who the band Fuchsia is.
Oh, well, he's with Fuchsia.
Oh,
Yeah.
Fuchsia!
We'll fly
Oh,
him out. We'll buy him
Kevin
dinner.
from Fuchsia. Okay. REO TWO is a band in a new phase. Another cylinder added to new ideas about how the intercollegiate music is played. We
What does
have
that even
become
mean?
much more musical since Kevin joined the group, says Neil. We started out as simply a rock and roll band, but I feel that we have grown from there. The songs are now more structured. The band, still essentially a live band, one of our major assets is that we're visually dynamic. For a degree of their in person dynamics, read the Chicago Sun-Times says about them. REO is probably the tightest group to come out of Chicago since Chicago.
Wow.
Um,
Don't strain yourself too
yeah,
hard
that's
thinking
right.
about
Oh,
that one.
oh, oh, goodness. The first time it played the big house, REO rose to the occasion, smashing sound off the back walls, chomping and kicking like fiends, forcing the audience to respond to their self confidence.
Yeah, because
REO,
they were like, get off the stage, leave.
REO 2 is a slew of new material and some rockin' classics. There's even a guest performance by Bruce Boots Randolph on Little Queenie. Boots Randolph of Yakety Sax fame plays on REO. REO is living the grand
Boy,
old
they're
truck.
really liberal with the word fame, aren't they? They seem to be tossing that one around a little too much.
So what would this have been? 73? Is this what this? 73, 70? Well, yeah.
Probably.
We have Flash Cadillac and the Continental Kids. Never heard of them. Can you help me out with
Who
that one?
is that a band?
I guess. I don't know. Here's the scoop on Flash and the Kids. Flash
Oh, thank
Cadillac
God.
and the
We have an
Continental Kids
explanation.
are right out of the 50s mall shop. Oh, great. The poor man's Shana Na.
You
Um,
beat me to it.
a strange assortment of cool dudes who wear bowling shirts, greasy kid stuff, and rolled up blue jeans and play music that can only be generously called rock. When in the 90s
Or
we called
butt
that
rock.
we called that ska music. They sound like they're in a ska band. Did you have any bowling shirts when you were in high school? I certainly did.
I still have them.
Just waiting for that fourth wave of ska to come back, right?
Hey, I'll wear one next show.
Okay, that's it. It is 50s rock, like greasers who are playing it. It is weird and ridiculous. There is absolutely nothing now about this music. Flash and the Cadillac
There's nothing now about this music.
Flash Cadillac and the Continental Kids played their first date, a no-pay 50s fraternity party.
Yeah.
After 1 week
No.
of practice and a quick hunt of a secondhand stores for costuming, they wowed 400 partygoers. Sounds like that was a fire code violation there. After their appearance at the Monday Night Troubadour I'm Going to Get Discovered sing out, Flash Cadillac and the Continental Kids got discovered. Since then, they have been rumbling, maybe screeching is a better word, around the rock college, in crowd, underground, on campuses all over the Midwest and the South and the West. So the Midwest, man, that must have been these crappy bands from the Epic label were definitely milking those
We got to get that
Midwest
bread
cows.
basket. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, real quick here, I'm sorry. Uh, Craig says that REO album did so good that they kicked out Kevin. Sarcasm again. I don't know anything about REO's. Or I don't know. Is he the guy? Is he the guy or no? Any idea?
That I
Okay.
don't know. I know the live record that they put out. That's about the beginning and ending of my REO knowledge.
Yeah. Okay, but Flash and the Kids, who are all now live in real Hep House in Hollywood, with a wall completely decorated with beer cans, are about to become, according to Flash and the Kids, as popular as hula hoops. Boy, these guys are weird. Um, a lot of people say the boys sound and act like they were botched up in a time machine and released 20 years after. But Flash says, "We weren't in no time machine. We don't have time for that kind of stuff. People who say
You don't
that
have
kind of stuff
time for
are
a time machine.
people who say that kind of stuff are cruising for a bruising. We're serious musicians like Jerry Lee Lewis and those people. This is their first epic album. Flash Cadillac is tough, and there's no stopping them now." So who was the A&R guy that thought that was a good idea?
And
Uh,
who greenlit that and said, "Yeah, print it, put it on the album"? Can you Google them and see like what became of Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five or whatever this band is called?
no, no. Okay.
No,
No,
I'm
I'm saying
serious.
no, as in just like I've never heard of them. I don't think that they're
Yeah, nobody else has, and they were going to be as big as what, like the band who opened for Sha Na Na or
yeah,
something.
they're not in my book, and I don't feel like doing it, but I'll do it. I'll do it for
Thank
the
you,
do it for the show.
thank you, because I am just all kinds of curious.
Flash Cadillac and the Continental Kids. Oh, good lord.
What?
Okay, so this is from Wikipedia. Uh, Now known as Flash Cadillac, they dropped the and the Continental Kids, is an American retro rock and roll band known for their appearances as the band Herbie and the Heartbeats in the film American Graffiti. They were also on a 1975 episode of Happy Days as Johnny Fish and the Finns. During scenes of the high school dance, they played At the Hop and Louie Louie, as long as
Of course they did.
their original composition, She's So Fine. Their version of At the Hop was released as a single in '73. Um, Flash Cadillac had chart hits in the '70s with Dancing on a Saturday Night. This song, this song, this song, this song, and this song that was in the Swedish top 10 in 1974. In 1977, the band released a cover of Wizard's "See My Baby Jive" by Roy Wood. Hey, that's funny. We've been talking about them.
Everything comes full circle,
They
right?
do. They released several albums in the '70s. This was '72, and then there was one called "There's No Face Like Chrome." 1975 was "Rock and Roll Forever," and then '75 they also released "Sons of the Beaches."
So it seems like every 20 years, like nostalgia comes back. And I think like with American Graffiti coming out, then I think these guys kind of hopped on that. And apparently they rode that wave for a little while. And I mean, they were on Happy Days, which was a huge show. So they must have been doing something right, at least cash and checks. So
Cash and checks and snapping necks.
yeah, and cruising for bruising.
Cruising for a bruising. Let's see here. I'm loving the comments. Fonzie's group, that old Howard Stern show. Let's see what else is on here. We'll finish this up and we'll call it a night, like I said. So there's one with Colin Blunstone. His album is on there. Are you familiar with any of his stuff?
Not at all.
So he was in the Zombies.
Oh, okay.
So he's sort of like that voice, the voice you think about. So what album were they talking about here? Ennis Moore.
Was he not? Did he not form Argent?
No, that was Rod Argent. That was the keyboard player. So he
There we
did
go.
that, and then he did his. So I think they're talking about his second uh, solo album. It looks like it's pretty
Okay.
serious. So yeah, so I'm not gonna really make fun of that one because that's not stupid. Um, we got Chris Christopherson, the Jesus is a Capricorn album. That's a dollar bin record every day of the week. Would you like to hear what they say about that?
Please enlighten us all.
Which I'll say, the first Christopherson album, just Christopherson, which was later called Me and Bobby McGee. That's a great record. Do you have that one?
Yeah. I do not.
There's a song on there called "Blame It on the Stones," and they're talking about sort of like the reason why everything was messed up was because of the Rolling Stones. It's really funny. I'll send it to you.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
a really good album. Blame it on those Rolling Stones. And then they sort of do like a sort of the Bob Dylan, like everybody gets must get stoned sort of thing. Blame it on the Stones.
All
Blame it
right.
on the Stones. Really good. You'll feel so much better knowing you are not alone. Join the accusation. Join the fleeting nation. Get it off your shoulders. Blame it on the Stones. It's a great tune, man. It's so good.
All right.
But again, he's one of those. It's sort of like the King Crimson thing, where it's like that album's really, really good, but I've never really been like, okay, yeah. Oh, the Stones diss track. That's exactly what it was. Um, I've never really sort of explored his other stuff, and um, yeah.
So no Barbra Streisand albums with him or anything.
A Star Is Born, man. That is, you ain't been around if you don't know what that album is, right? Um, Always Radio
next to
said the
your
Stones
next
were
to your
awfully quiet when they dropped that. That's great. Chris Christopherson, at any age and any time, is an exceptional songwriter, storyteller, point maker, narrator. Those were all like those weren't commas; those were all like periods. His songs are stories, beginnings, melodies, or I'm sorry, beginnings, middles, and ends, and the end result is a song in style of consequence. This latest collection underscores the living he has done, his experiences, his yesterdays and todays. Yeah, so I'm not gonna read any
at
more.
22, he's ready to
Yeah,
sing
he
about
was
his
much older than that.
troubles.
I think so. I think it was like
I know.
when he started like he hooked up with Rita Coolidge and all that. So that was sort of the beginning of that. Um, so let's look at this one because here's a band I've never heard of before, and I doubt you have either. They're called
Who?
Full Moon,
Yeah,
and
that's true.
yeah, I've never heard of them before. So let's read about them. So they are. It
Are they a
starts.
50s greaser band too?
We're gonna find out. So they started off by saying Full Moon is out, right? So
Oh
fun
God.
there. After leaving Stevie Wonder's band in 1972, guitarist Buzz Featon, I'm gonna say, called up a few of his friends who had played with him when they were all in the Butterfield Blues Band. Ooh, I'm
Ooh.
interested, Steve. My curiosity is
Right.
piqued.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
You know how I like that band. To see that they were interested in forming a new group. They were. And so was Buzz. Well, of course he was, because he's the one that called them. Um, Bassist Freddie Beckmeyer, drummer Philip Wilson, and horn player Brother Gene Dinwiddie.
Brother
Dinwiddie
Gene did with it, baby.
joined the band. Then along with Neil Larson. So I don't know any of these. This is like when Paul Butterfield was like,
That's
yeah, like
Nicolette Larson's dad.
really?
No, I just
No,
made that
okay,
up.
okay. A keyboard player who had worked with a number of interim Woodstock bands with Buzz. He made the fifth part of Full Moon. They were signed by Douglas Communications Corporation, and this is their first album. So this isn't even an Epic album. This is like a subsidiary of Epic. So you can just kind of know where that's going. The background of each individual is a key to their talents. Well, I would hope so. The four former members of the blues band went their own ways when the breakup came. Sometimes their paths crossed. Sometimes they didn't. Sometimes they
Sometimes
always
they
kept
had
in
breakfast
touch.
together. Other times they
Sometimes they
said, "I'm
didn't.
not hungry."
They always kept in touch. Buzz is probably the busiest, working with the Rascals and
Is he
Stevie
buzzing
Wonder.
like a bee?
He was buzzing like a
Is
bee. They don't call him Buzz for nothing. Um, he's working with the Rascals and Stevie Wonder. He wrote the hit Jungle Walk. Do you know that song? I don't. All superb musicians, creative, dedicated. The past track records of these members attest to the musical excellence of this album. So wait a second. So they weren't good enough to continue on in the Paul Butterfield Blues Band. They had to dissolve that band and make their own band. Okay. Okay. The material is memorable, original. The five men have achieved the maximum rapport and is remarkably in a remarkably short time. There is a reason. I think they're going to tell us the reason right now. It is the cooperative band, says Buzz. Everyone is responsible for writing the material, and everyone sings in solos on the album and in concert. Everyone has an equal role in what music we make. The music they make is a rare achievement. I have a feeling Buzz ate those words after this album, right? Like,
Everybody has a what does
it's
it
your
say?
fault. It's your
Everybody has
fault.
a unique part in this band. Yeah, one guy plays guitar, the other guy plays bass, the other guy plays. Gee, thanks.
He
I didn't
sings.
know it was.
We all
I
write the
didn't. It was
songs. It's your fault. It's your responsibility. Yeah, cooperative band.
wow.
So when they drop us from the label, we all get dropped from the label. Um, we
They
have
would all have joint Facebook pages.
right. Uh, we have the Hollies with Romany. So that one's the one that has. That was the one that doesn't have long, cool women in a black dress. That was like
Oh, okay. So we don't know that one
the cover looks exactly the same, but it's the next one.
then. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna read this, but look, they're still talking about Graham Nash. Okay, maybe we will read it. The more they change, the more they stay the same.
Graham
Ooh,
Nash used to be in this band, so maybe
but
you
he's
guys should
not.
pick up this record.
Oh man, what a way to start. The more they change, the more they remain the same. Like you don't want to say that about somebody's new album. It's still the same garbage.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it still stinks.
The more garbage they put in, it's still garbage. The Hollies are an institution, a long-lasting, progressing,
Easy, easy. My goodness,
moving with the
an
times,
institution.
famous group that has gone through more changes than most other groups, but seems to grow stronger and better with each change. Who wrote that? Their mom? Did
These
their
guys just can't get along.
did bless your heart is what Oldies Radio says. Oh my god. Look at the individuals who have come along through the association. Okay, so you got Graham Nash, right? So they name him first, right? And then Don Rathbone. Okay, don't know him. Eric Haddock, and now Alan Clark has moved out on his own. 23-year-old Swedish pop singer Mikael Rickfors has replaced Clark.
Oh, Mikael Rickfors. That yeah. Okay, that
Okay. Hey,
guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and the whole new stage of the Hollies' career is in front of them. And of course, Terry Sylvester is among those present, as are Tony Hicks and Bobby Elliott. Never trust a man with two first names. About Mikael, they found him when they appeared in Sweden. So this sounds like to me like they were desperate. That sounds like
Would you please join our band?
Alan Clark was
Please.
like, "I'm out of here. See you guys. Enjoy your Swedish engagements, because I'm not in the band."
Good luck finding somebody to fill my shoes.
When they appeared in Sweden, he was with Bamboo. So there's a band called Bamboo, but I don't know. I'll have to look that up and see if there's any connection. Um, his
Between
voice is
what?
deeper, more resonant than anyone the Hollies have ever had before. It adds a new dimension to the distinctive sound we know as the Hollies. The
Oh,
Hollies are
goodness.
remembered past their personnel
What's the Holly sound?
by their
Is
hits.
there a
Oh
Holly?
my goodness, we're naming hits that aren't on this album that came before, right? The Hollies are remembered best for their personnel and by their hits. Just one look, bus stop, 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 on a carousel, look through any window, Carrie Ann, dear Eloise, he ain't heavy, he's my brother, and long cool woman in a black dress. You got like majority of those are from their first albums, and then one album and one album singles.
Here's the thing: they have done everything in this article talking about this album, then talking about this album. They've done everything to go out of their way not to talk about this record. Oh, these are the Hollies. These are their songs before. What's on this record? These are the songs that came before it.
These guys aren't in the band anymore. They got this Swedish guy, and then here's the songs that they did when Graham Nash was in the band. Distant Light was a move into change.
Hey, these are all good songs. None of them are on this.
You're right, Distant Light. Here's the album that had the hit. Romany takes them a step further into their new excitement, and lead voice adds to the characterization that was where the long, dark road was leading. The Hollies do change, but each change seems to make their talent and reputation more exciting, more permanent. Uh, hold on a second. I want to see what this charted at.
And by permanent, they mean for like a good solid 15, 20 minutes.
That's right. Their permanent one album deal that we have them signed for. On a carousel. Craig said, "We need to read more of these. This is hilarious." Yes,
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
this is. We have
We'll turn
records
this
that
into
have
a
this.
bit.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Hollies, Buddy Holly, the Hollies. Oh my goodness, they have a pretty. Okay. Uh, so what we were thinking? This is like
I don't even
72.
know what the name of this record is. All they've done is talk about other
Romany,
records throughout this entire review.
Romany. Okay, so Michael Rickford's joins August of 71, and they release a single in February of 72. It does not chart in the United States. It goes number 26 in the UK. It's called The Baby and Oh Granny. Then that album comes out. It got to number 84, if you can believe that. 84, which it looks like that's like the lowest charting album to date. Um, wow, they released a lot of singles off of that album.
Yeah. I guess they were just trying for anything.
And then they have the album The Hollies that came after this, and that went to number 28. Out on the Road, Picking Up the Pieces Again, It's a Shame, It's a Game, Transatlantic Westbound Jet, Don't Let Me Down, Falling Calling, Rubber Lucy, Down on the
I know
Run,
none of these songs.
Love Makes the World Go Round. I don't. I have no idea. Big Business in Sweden. Oh yeah, yeah. All right. So what do we got left on here? We have. This is Nils Lofgren. That's somebody that nobody really talks about, right? You know,
Yeah, his plays with Springsteen. Yeah.
yeah. So this is for his album Grin, which I believe that was his debut, right? That was the first.
Okay.
I think that was his first album. Nils Lofgren and Grin are into their third album. I'm sorry, I stand corrected. Uh,
You don't know your Gren discography, Mark. God, why you even do this show, man?
I don't
We
know.
both need to stop.
They have emerged into one of the freshest and most enjoyable sounding groups that have come out of 1971. Well, we are no longer in 1971, right? According to the
And they
LA
are no
report.
longer fresh.
Uh, let's see. There is a solid consensus about Nils and the Grin. Read on. Los Angeles Times. Nils is a true original whose search for romantic beauty in a cynical year creates songs of lyric tension that limn new moods. He sings like a dream and plays guitar and keyboards with brilliance and glee.
How much payola and cocaine was filed to this guy to write that review, or excuse me, publish that review? Because they're like, all right, here you go. We've already written it. Just do us a solid.
That's the Los Angeles Times. The staff, while they're best known for some flashy guitar work, Nils is one hell of a singer. Grin is simply too good to go unnoticed. Uh, Ken Barnes and Fusion. Ken Barnes, what did he write? Ken Barnes has done stuff. That's a name
No,
I know.
no. You're thinking of Ken Burns, the
No,
guy.
Ken Barnes has done something too. I know
Oh,
that name too.
oh.
Ken Barnes and Fusion writing about 1+1. I am entirely entranced by this album, and I can't wait for the next one. It's been quite a while since I've felt this way about a new artist, and it's encouraging that the scene stuffed to the gills with hyphenated rock bastardizations is still somebody out there who's got the true rock and roll excitement. Really, it's the best news I've heard in a hell of a long time. That goes nowhere. That's a lot of generalizations on that guy's part. Um, the young, amazingly talented Nils Lofgren was once primarily known for his exciting work behind Neil Young. He and Grin are now known for their sound and style. Besides Bob Gordon on bass and Bob Berberich on drums. Ooh, two Bobs in a band? What? No wonder they named it after Nils Lofgren.
God Almighty!
Two Bobs in a band.
Did he
Tom,
play with Springsteen? I'm kind of rethinking this now.
he
I'm
there,
pretty
yeah,
sure.
there's some connection.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he's in the E Street Band.
yeah, I feel like there's something like that. Yeah. Okay, the Tom, Nils's younger brother, who plays guitar. So there's two Bobs, a Tom, a Nils, and that is what Grin is. It all adds up to what is best described as romantic rock. Ooh,
Oh my
what a
gosh!
way to end that.
Not to be confused with Butt Rock.
Yeah. Here's another band I've never heard of before. They are called Gobi, Falk, and Bod. Roby, Robe, and then Falk, Falk, and Bod. Have you ever heard of that band before?
Absolutely not. Nobody has because they never existed.
I've never, I've never heard of them before. Ain't no way you can keep them down, or would want to. Dedicated in the world we used to call show business or music circles or some such has been ongoing hook for authors and reporters for centuries. Oh boy.
Oh my gosh.
Oh boy. Um, Hollywood made spectaculars with Judy Garland. Broadway presented straight plays and full blown musicals on the subject. For folks who've got it and won't give up until they get there, the desire is important as the talent. Sounds like the beginning of a sermon. Well, what it simply is a story of Bill Grobley, Don Falk, and Gary Newburian. I guess that's why they just call him Bod. They attended college in North Carolina, played around the South, nothing. But they had the urge. They wound up in Kensington, Maryland, rough living, near starvation. Kindly neighbors listened to their practice, cheering them on. Meanwhile, they worked, not as musician. Don tended laboratory rats. Bill installed burglar alarms. Bod changed tires at Sears. Somewhere along the line, Gary became Bod. Reasons unknown. This is bad. At night, they wrote songs and recorded in their home-built studio. I'm sure that was
A
that was.
home built studio. Yeah, it's a shed out back with all our crap in it. That's what it is.
You got Burger Alarm Bill. You got Lab Rat Dawn. And
Burglar Alarm Bill. That's what they should have called the band. That kicks
hey,
ass. I could
Burglar
see that
Alarm
band.
Bill, what did you do?
A rat. See, you can tie them all together. Dude, that's a killer name for a Burglar Alarm Bill. That's a killer name for a band. That's the name of the podcast. We're changing the name Burglar Alarm Bill. That rules.
Okay. The rest of the story is too long for telling here.
No, no, no. No, no, no. I was going to say, no, don't you leave us hanging.
Oh. Oh my god, this hurts.
Well, you know what you've got to do. It's
Got
too long to tell there,
right.
so we've got to look it up.
That's right.
We'll extend this show. I don't care. I got to find out what happened to these
This is the
clowns.
last thing. They were heard, appreciated, and recorded. Their first album includes sing-along songs, hard rockers, and blues-tinged ballads. The trio has developed a unique style of playing that employs 14 different guitar tunings, and 3 are schooled in a variety of stringed instruments. Robley, Falk, and Bod, so sophisticated, sensitive, and touched by just a touch of country sound. Ain't no way to keep these 3 down. As they used to say in showbiz, talent will out. It has. It has.
You know what you got to do now?
Here we go. It looks like the big jammer is either Kentucky Gambler or that is the name of the album.
Can we play a little bit of that? What are we going to do? Get copyright strike for this stuff?
Probably.
Come on.
What in the heck am I even looking at here?
Let's play a little bit of it.
There's 22 available on Discogs for $3.70 is the lowest. So just so you know.
I'll be sure to jump over there right when we get done with this.
So I guess what, Kentucky Gambler's the jam, right?
Let's find out.
I don't even think this is on YouTube. Here.
Nilbog or whatever.
Oh man. Let's see if can I do
What's the name of this band?
yeah, Nilbog. Robley fucking Bod.
Yeah. Hey, can you guys pick a worse name? We tried, but it was
Sounds like Neil Young. Okay, I'm gonna stop it there.
That's not awful, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, uh, we'll. I just don't want it to. We don't have to take down the stream after all this fun stuff we were doing. So,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, if you want to listen to this at your leisure, um, it is Roby, Robey, Falk, Falk, and Bod, Bod, and that's the name of the band. So, wow, we'll have to report back next week.
Listen, I tell you, those A&R guys, they make their money.
Imagine like this being the month that you had to like put this together with what releases were coming out. So yeah, Craig, I think we're on to something here. We'll definitely look at the inner sleeve. I know Columbia Records did it, and of course Epic. I think maybe reading the Epic ones might be the best, just because they're usually those bands were pretty trash because they were that was the Columbia Records, right? That was the
Right.
the low end of the Columbia Records stuff. So all right, we will say goodnight. Merry
Good night.
Christmas to you. Happy holidays.
Absolutely.
We'll see you guys next week.
Happy Toyota-thon.
Happy Toyotathon, Honda holidays, all that good stuff.
Sports truly.
Sports truly. Over and out.
All right. Merry Christmas.